Hi everybody, welcome to FNS Wrestling Podcast, episode 70. We're back in the basement to talk about another week of wrestling. I am your host, and with me as always across the tiny table is my co-host and teenage son Jackson. Say hello, Jack.
Hey man, don't bully the table, okay?
The table is tiny. We are very close.
Yeah, but we could go back to the old
the card table.
Yeah.
The old card table from literally the 1970s.
Or the old table legs.
Oh god, those were the worst. IKEA. Use a lot of your stuff, but that was some of the worst products I've ever seen. But anyways, well, this week was pretty exciting for you, right? We've had our first sickness in this house in 2 years probably since
my throat
pandemic.
was really bad on Friday, and then I was more sick on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's probably pretty audible.
Yes.
And then, I don't know, it just kind of, from Saturday evolved into a cold, and then, it was Monday, I was just coughing a lot, my throat and my nose were pretty fine, and then I had to get a COVID test on Tuesday.
Negative.
So I was gone, and then Wednesday,
your brother got it.
I was allowed to stay home, and then my brother got sick, then my mom got sick.
He was a mess for a night.
So I only had 2 days of school this week.
Yep. So your brother got his COVID test negative. Your mother was the third person to get it. She's on her way right now.
Right.
And I am the last survivor of the sickness. So I'm hoping
temporarily.
I'm hoping to escape it all. Sitting across a 2-foot table from you for the next 2.5 hours probably isn't going to help me, but I'm thinking you're in recovery mode now. So
yeah, I'm good. It probably didn't help you last week.
But it was just the cough that was the concern, right? Everything else is kind of whatever. But especially your brother's cough was insane. So that had to be addressed. But COVID tests all negative. I'm sure your mom's will be the same as well because she has the same symptoms as you guys. But just the way our schooling system and work system is set up, as soon as you have anything that might be COVID, obviously you're off to get a COVID test and staying away from school. So you got a couple days off. But due to the beauty of online learning now, you can keep doing your stuff online when you're home. So I guess it worked out okay. Right. Anything else exciting this week for you? I don't think
Survivor Series.
Oh yeah, Survivor Series is coming up. We will tackle a preview of that. Fantastic looking show. I can't think of anything that was exciting for me this week. I just sort of dealing with
a very non-exciting life.
Yeah, well, when you're sick for 40% or 50% of the week, you don't get a lot accomplished, right? I was just in the middle of watching my Raptors game, a bit behind just catching the Sacramento game. The Raptors are a fun team to watch. They're not necessarily a contender this year, but they're playing scrappy defense and hustling, so they're quite fun to watch. So
I think I'm content to just go to school for the next few weeks, because the downtime when I was sick, it was very boring.
Yes, that's years ago when
especially when I had to stay home, I just wasn't doing anything.
Years ago when I ruptured my Achilles, I was at about day 3 of off work. I was starting to go crazy. You think, oh, it's going to be great. I don't have to go to work. I can sit at home and do what I want to, but by about the 3rd day, I was like, could I just go back to work and do something? I also couldn't move, right? So that made it a little less. I always say, thank goodness Netflix existed at that point, because I just sat there and consumed Netflix with my ruptured Achilles in one of those zero-gravity lawn chairs in the middle of the family room. Remember that? I just lived in that chair for weeks and weeks and weeks. Good times. Not a fun thing to remember. But anyways, if you don't have anything else to banter about in our banter section, I figure we could get into talking about some wrestling stuff. And that first segment is going to be, like it always is, us talking about the week's news and rumors. So let's talk some ratings for this week. Tuesday's live WWE NXT 2.0 episode, which I'm pretty sure you're going to be giving an A to A+ when we get to it.
I think you forgot about the A++ rating.
The unprecedented A++. We're just going to say 100%, right?
Yep.
Well, we're being sarcastic in case you don't know, but we'll get there. So that episode of NXT 2.0 drew 574,000 viewers. So the slow decline to the bottom continues. That's down just under 5%. And a 0.11 rating in the key 18 to 49 demographic, down a pretty significant 26.66%. So the interesting thing, right, is the very audience they claim that they're targeting with this show by making it young and hip and whatever, they're not watching. They're tuning out. And we're close to tuning out. It's going to be a discussion we're going to have because I'm close to being out after this week. I know I keep saying it, and I keep hanging on.
There's one thing that'll probably keep me going next week, and then after that, I'm pretty
We'll see.
out.
All right, well, that sounds fair to me. So this week's NXT drew the second lowest audience in the history of the show on the USA Network. Obviously not a good week for them. The ratings seem to it's a subtle slip every week. And to me, it makes total sense. Like, I don't want to dislike NXT. Believe me, it has been my favorite thing in wrestling.
I almost want to dislike it now because they deserve it.
They kind of do. It's just they're just saying, we're not even going to try. This is a show where they're just learning how to do this job. And if you want to watch. And if you don't kind of thing is what it feels like, right? But anyways, Wednesday's live post-Full Gear edition of AEW Dynamite drew 984,000 viewers, which is up just under 8% and earned a .37 in the 18 to 49 demo, which is up almost 9%. So they still didn't break 1 million viewers this week, which is kind of where I'd like them to be, and I'm sure they would too. But they haven't done that since they started airing live on the West Coast at the end of October. This week's Dynamite drew the best viewership since the show started airing live out on the West Coast. So numbers are up a bit and getting back close to that 1 million. And hopefully they picked up some viewership from what we thought was an amazing pay-per-view, right? Which we did review. So if you haven't checked that out, it's on whatever feed you found this. We talked about what was top to bottom an excellent pay-per-view.
Right.
And then I threw in, because I do every now and then if it comes across my stuff, Impact check-in, right? So Thursday's taped Turning Point Go Home edition of Impact, which I'll talk about later in this show, got 129,000 viewers, right? Which is up a whopping 62.39%. So what that means, I think if I remember correctly, their viewership for last week was 79,000 people, which is not many people, right? And it drew a .02 rating in the demographic, which is exactly the same as last week. So I just include it once in a while so we can see, like, they're getting around 100,000 viewers. So you've got, like, Dynamite getting 9 times that at least, and NXT getting 5 to 6 times that every week pretty much. So gives you an idea of where Impact falls. I think the majority of Impact's income and everything comes from overseas. So the ratings in the North America, I don't know how much they care about it, to be honest. But anyways, I'm assuming you're starting with the big news story of this week.
Yes, so
go
the
ahead.
big news, I'm sure everyone has heard, the final spot on the men's Survivor Series SmackDown team has been taken by Sheamus.
That is the big news.
Yes, I know everyone's been talking about that. It's super interesting. I'm very excited at the prospect of getting to see Sheamus wrestle in a Survivor Series match.
Well, I mean, it's nice to see young talent that I'm not familiar with getting these opportunities, right?
Right, yeah. So, I feel like he's been really underutilized. I think they should really give him the world title sooner or later.
Sheamus. I don't even know if I've heard. I can't even picture him. What is he?
I think he's
new guy from NXT UK or?
I think so. Yeah, I think he's Irish, so probably from NXT UK. I don't know. I don't pay attention to them a lot, so I don't see a lot of Sheamus.
So what was actually the big news? I'll let you go 2 in a row.
Well, I will. But I'll elaborate on this. He beat Ricochet, Cesaro, and my favorite Jinder Mahal in a 4-way with the help of stupid Ridge Holland. Another one of my favorites.
I don't mean to make fun of people, but remember when all of the people were like, the people, quote unquote, oh, this is Cesaro's big opportunity. Remember a while ago when he was getting it? I'm like, no, he's never. Like, you people
when he was facing Roman Reigns?
It's like, oh, he's finally going to get... And I'm like, no, he's not.
It was
he's just not.
WrestleMania Backlash, yeah.
They're not going to.
Now he's in, like, a qualifier for Survivor Series and not winning.
I like to say I told you so because it's fun, but not when it means Cesaro is de-pushed.
Not
because
even
Ricochet.
I like Cesaro. Not even Ricochet. Even that would be nice.
Right.
But, like,
not
honestly, Sheamus is the most boring option of all time. And the real big news is, of course, a 25-man battle royal on the Survivor Series pre-show to honor Rock 25, right?
Nope, that is not big news.
I'm just kidding. But that is also there, so that's something. WWE did do another little batch of releases, so
of course they
fun.
did. Here's the beautiful part. They cite budget concerns, right? For budgetary reasons. Just after having their quarterly conference call where they rave about their profits and how much money they're making.
Right.
And then they try and tell us, like, you're having record earnings, but due to budgetary reasons, we need to add to our record number of people fired this year. So this company,
some of these are very questionable.
This company is getting tough to support at all. But anyways, go ahead.
So it's a short list, but they released John Morrison, which I think is kind of baffling because he seems to be one of their
and I was saying
guys.
That obviously
he's pretty good.
They fired his wife not long ago, and apparently the thought is the only reason he didn't get fired at the same time is because he was overseas on the UK thing at that point. So they waited for him to fulfill his usefulness there and then get back to America and get fired.
Shane Thorne.
Yeah.
Sorry, Slapjack.
He's a talented guy. He
was cool.
He lacks charisma and whatnot.
I miss TM61.
He's a good wrestler.
Or the Mighty. I hated that name change. That was so stupid.
He's a good wrestler.
Jackson Riker, probably the only one they got right here.
Yeah, he needed to be gone a long time ago.
Tegan Knox, which man, she's been dealt a bad hand.
She still has a tag team title shot that she hasn't gotten yet. So I don't know what's going to happen with that.
I think
so
that team got split up in the
they
draft
did,
anyways. Yeah.
as they had the title shot.
No, but she's been dealt a bad hand. She got injury, called up, did nothing, released. Which seems to be the thing now. You get called up, you do nothing, you get released.
So clearly she loves this business, right? If she's fought back from, 3 serious knee
injuries? She would be one of the
injuries?
ones that would be super useful in AEW.
I agree. They could use her there.
Drake Maverick, which... I mean, he's never been the best, but I always thought he was.
And what did you tell me about?
He reposted his release reaction video where he cried or whatever from last year.
Yeah.
Which I thought was funny because I think, however real it was last year, that got him back, right? So I think whether this is a real attempt or not, or it's just a joke, I think that's kind of funny.
It's very well played by him.
But
sure.
I think that's pretty funny. And finally, the rest of Hit Row.
Yeah, that is...
Including Isaiah frickin' Swerve Scott.
Yep, so I have my news sort of tacks on to that. So the reports that are coming out are sort of that some did not appreciate Hit Row and specifically Top Dolla's sort of confidence and how he felt like he was too comfortable already. It's one of those
I saw at least Top Dollar was
it's one of those he hasn't paid his dues and he can't just come in here. Yet at the same time they try and talk about how sometimes Vince respects that, right? When you step in and try and fight for your character or make suggestions. So and also there was sort of a back and forth about, I guess, who would lead Hit Row and whether
Swerve
and whether they should be heels or baby faces. So I actually have a quote from Top Dollar. And he said, "Here's what rubs people the wrong way. Standing up for your own. When Bree, who would be BFAB, right, was released, I called the office myself to tell them they made a mistake. Standing up to yourself. People in the PC told me Hit Row wouldn't work for a year and a half, and I never took their advice." So to me, this is a group of talent, and I'm going to point this out only because I don't think it's a coincidence, who are a group of people of color trying to have input and stand up to themselves and have a voice, and Vince is not having that, and neither are his minions. So I don't know if I'm adding the race part in there, but I don't think that is a completely impossible stance to take.
No,
right?
It seems like a very possible thing, especially for Vince.
So you see what happens. They're inexperienced. They haven't paid their dues.
And Vince is also the guy who's her business. Oh, you're all black. Group them together. Feud with Apollo Crews. Always grouping people with similar backgrounds together.
It is race is a defining characteristic to Vince McMahon.
Yep.
Right. So this, and I just think to contrast it to AEW, right, where the wrestlers are encouraged to give input and to pitch ideas for their stories.
And what pisses me off too is they finally did something right this year. They gave Swerve the North American title.
Right.
Then they had him do absolutely nothing with it
for 3 months.
And then he had one defense against Escobar, which that was the right move. But then you just got cashed in anyway, so the defense means nothing. And I was like, oh, it's because he's getting called up, which I already wasn't thrilled about. But then BFAB gets released a week after signing a new contract, and then they get released after less than a month.
So they went from... You can go back...
What was the point of calling them up?
You can go back not very far to where we're they are the coolest thing on NXT and maybe in WWE outside of
in the
Roman
summer
Reigns
at least.
Work, right?
It was.
The Roman Reigns character was amazing, and then Hit Row was this is a can't miss faction, right? This is money.
And they absolutely missed it.
They missed and released them all. So I don't know.
I would love Swerve and AEW
Me
also.
Too.
That I don't really care about the other two too much because they would have fit more in WWE.
As a group, they were really awesome, but as individual components, Swerve's the only one. And BFAB, not as a wrestler, she's awful. But I think she as a character,
if she remained as a valet
and keep working at wrestling, she could get good, right? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, that sucks. And now not only is Swerve's basic figure no longer an NXT figure, is no longer a accurate WWE figure.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still get it, but.
Yep. What else do you have for news?
Kenny Omega versus El Hijo del Vikingo at Triple Mania, I think Rega 2. I think it's because they did the weird Triple Mania earlier this year.
Yeah,
remember, with Omega Andrade. So I think this is because this is in December or whatever, where Triple Mania is supposed to be. So I don't know what the whole Rega 2 thing means, but I assume it's a
I don't either.
subsequent thing or whatever. I don't know.
I would probably try and check out that match. Vikingo is pretty crazy.
But so that match is off because of
off.
Omega's injuries and whatnot.
Good.
He's had some issues.
I think he just needs that guy deserves some time off if anybody does, right? It'll come up, I think, in my Dynamite review later.
Right. He was kicking ass as world champion
for a year.
He worked
a pretty crazy schedule.
And he was an EVP, right?
Yep.
So I mean,
and just champion of multiple companies at the same time.
Right, there's that too. I didn't even mention that, but he's still the AAA champion.
Yep.
He was Impact champion for a decent amount of time.
And TNA champion, okay? Don't be disrespectful of that
so
defunct championship.
Right. I don't think that one's too ugly, actually.
It's just the fact that they still had it existing when the company is not called that anymore. Anyways, it's a separate story.
It's Moose's fault. It was Moose's fault.
It was.
You have anything else?
Yep, the AEW's The Butcher is reportedly injured, which is I kind of like him. I just think he has a really cool look. And he's just came back from a pretty serious injury not too long ago. So apparently he suffered a torn bicep, which is not going to be a quick recovery, I don't think, in the match against Orange Cassidy and Ishii.
Yeah, I think he returned to what? It was All Out, I think, which is September.
Right, so he's been...
Why did I remember that?
So it's a shame, because again, he's just gotten back, and I do think he's a useful piece of the roster, and now he's gone again. And when he's gone, it's like they have nothing for Blade, right? So, not that I'm a huge fan of him, but...
because Blade's not that interesting.
No, he's not. So he kind of disappears. Anything else from you?
That's okay, I don't like HFO. Johnny Gargano's WWE contract is supposed to be coming up on December 3rd, and apparently he's still yet to sign a new deal.
He has to be counting the date. There's no way he's signing a new deal. Everything I know about Johnny Gargano, he's an intelligent person and he loves wrestling. So if you put those two things together, you're not signing with WWE, right? If the money is at all close from anywhere else.
And I could see them giving him the North American title next week to try to keep him around, but then, again, I thought they would do that with Pete Dunne on the first episode of NXT 2.0, and that clearly did not happen.
Poor Pete Dunne with his recent contract signing. I feel really badly for him, because he's going to be left alone there. Because who would sign? I can't imagine.
And he's still, super young, so he's just working the years away.
Right, and these guys all know each other and talk to each other, and they're talking to people in AEW, so they're getting the experience of what's going on there compared to what they're dealing with.
But I would literally kill for Pete Dunne in AEW.
It'd be incredible.
That is the dream. I
know I'm always like, they can't sign everyone, but you sign Pete Dunne, you sign Johnny Gargano.
Pete Dunne is legendary, okay? Yep. Pete Dunne's probably my favorite in NXT now, because Adam Cole is gone.
Yep.
No offense, Pete Dunne, but Adam Cole is the best. And he's not... If he wins the title next week, I will... I put this in my notes, but mark my words, I will keep watching it.
I don't know how much longer they're going to have veterans win anything, to be honest.
I know. Which I don't think will happen, which is why I'm staking my watching of this show on him winning the title.
Nice. I only have one more piece of news, and that is, I don't know if you heard this, but Jonathan Gresham announced that he's starting a new wrestling promotion called Terminus. And other than that, he didn't say much.
That's a bad name.
The release was Terminus Modern Age Grappling, January 16th, 2022 in Atlanta, Georgia. That's basically the only thing revealed, but...
It's a bad name.
It's not great. Kind of interesting to see, because with the WWE releases and with ROH releasing literally everybody, there's lots of talent floating around, right? So,
and that could even just run as an indie if he wants, right?
And Gresham is awesome, so I'm hoping he's got a good mind for the business. He probably does. So I'm interested to see what happens. I can't imagine trying to start up from zero in what's still sort of like the tail end, hopefully, of a pandemic, at least. I mean, maybe not the end in some parts of the States, but...
Right, and that makes me feel good about AEW again, right? Because they survived this whole thing, right?
They have super deep
and they
pockets,
came out
right?
strong even, right? So...
Because they have more money than Vince, technically, right? So if they're willing to keep it going, they will. So
which Tony Khan definitely seems to.
He does.
Yep.
He loves wrestling, man. That's all I have for news. Do you have anything else?
Daniel Garcia versus Eddie Kingston is going to be set for AEW Rampage Black Friday next week.
Oh, cool. I'd watch that match for sure.
And then AEW's Winter is Coming TV special will be set to return on December 15th.
Nice. That was a good show.
Except for Sting.
Even debuting. Whatever. Regardless, it was still good.
Now it's been almost a year.
It has. 1 year anniversary of Sting.
Because last year's show was on December 2nd. This one will be on December 15th. And we've been promised on that show more info on the Owen Hart Cup.
Oh, nice. Interesting. Anything else?
No.
I am also done the news, so that'll lead us into... Well, I don't know. Maybe listeners could tell us. We're going to get into the part where we're going to complain a lot. And sometimes it's fun to listen to people complain a lot. So let me know if you want to contact us, fnswrestling@gmail.com, fns_wrestling_podcast on Instagram, or a comment in YouTube works as well. Because we are about to talk about the flaming pile of trash that is NXT 2.0. All right, so NXT is going to start out right away with a dream match for you, right? Dexter Lumis versus Tony D'Angelo.
Yeah.
And the first note I have is that...
That's already a great sign.
Commentary sound idiotic, trying to summarize D'Angelo Dinero. What's his name? No, that's
D'Angelo
not the, oh, wow, sorry. Tony D'Angelo as like,
That was awful.
because they have to talk about all of his stereotypical, oh, he gave him the dead fish, because that's the implication.
He's like, I hate how he's doing like that hand gesture. He's like, forget
Right.
about it.
So they have to talk about this cartoon character like he's a real human, and it's really awkward.
Like all of us like he's always like gesturing the crowd and saying some dumb phrase. And he's
Yep.
like I don't know, but he's like, come on, or something.
Yep.
Like just I don't know if it's like hyping up the crowd, but his mannerisms and his entrance, like everything he does, just is stereotypical,
100%.
stupid, and it pisses me off.
But because it's Italian, somehow it's okay, right?
Right.
And it's and I've even heard people say they like it and that they're big fans of it. So I don't know.
And Fresh Off the Boat, she was like, remember the teacher at the school? She was like, we have she said they had done the play without offending anyone, including our Italian families.
Yeah, exactly. So we're getting a guy who we haven't seen much of in D'Angelo. He's basically had squash matches, and then Loomis, who I like more than you, but I wouldn't say that he's like a strong singles competitor.
And if you're gonna pair someone with Tony D'Angelo, Dexter Loomis is at like the bottom of my list.
Right, should be a workhorse, you would think. But anyways, they needed somebody to maybe take a pin. Let's see. We get some really basic stuff by both to start, other than a decent belly-to-belly by D'Angelo. We get the silence is put on momentarily.
Right, and that was, another complaint from us, is that, like, he's supposed to be this amateur wrestler, and he doesn't really
There's very little.
do a lot of that. And another thing for me, he looks like he's wearing freaking pajama pants or something. Like
He's wearing, like, a velour tracksuit.
Right, and then just the white tank top. Like, it looks so stupid. Like, even if that is a stereotype, but, like, that's fine if that's your dumbass promo gear, but, like, wrestling in that is so stupid.
His
like,
whole presentation
like
is garbage.
I hate his ring gear. It's one of my least favorites.
We get D'Angelo slides there. So I guess Loomis brought down paintings, right? And they're set up at ringside on an easel.
I don't know why.
And so he slides the easel from Loomis's painting into the ring. The ref goes to get it and send it back out, and D'Angelo uses that opportunity to hit a thumb to the eye and a swinging neck breaker, and D'Angelo pins Dexter
his
Loomis.
Finisher thing.
Right, in 3 minutes. So Trick
Wow,
Williams,
Iron Man match.
Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes then attack Loomis afterwards. They put a chair on Loomis's arm and stomp on it, and Johnny Gargano has to run out to make the save. Go ahead, talk about this.
I'd just like to say every move that Trick Williams hits looks stupid.
He is not helping Carmelo Hayes at all. But anyway,
he adds nothing. On the mic, I hate him. In the ring, I hate him.
He's one of the like greenest of the green projects they have. It feels like.
I would say maybe it was
but
him.
He's on TV every week.
B-Fab, or she's gone, but Elektra Lopez maybe.
Yeah.
D'Angelo's definitely in there. I'm not sure about Zion Quinn, but
yeah, me either.
A short yet crappy match to start the show between two incredibly boring in-ring talents. One of which is super boring, and one of which is offensive and stupid. D'Angelo's character and mannerisms are just so stupid and stereotypical. Of course he won because he's a new guy and Loomis is a veteran. I mean, I don't like Loomis, but I'd rather him than D'Angelo because, like, I don't like Loomis, but he doesn't really do much. Whereas D'Angelo, I actively hate him now because he's just annoying and
actively
stupid.
Hate him. Nice.
Like, he's just awful.
Yep, he's bad.
Loomis is boring and offered nothing, but, like, I don't know. He can do stuff, and D'Angelo can't do much stuff, I guess.
The vocabulary on this boy.
The aftermath was lame. It was. I just don't.
Well,
care.
I have some questions about the aftermath when we get there. So the match wasn't good. There's only 2 or 3 things that weren't super basic moves. I think
what can you really accomplish in 3 minutes that's anything good?
And I think it hurts Loomis, right? Because he hasn't been presented as a jobber before, and now he's losing to a brand new guy in 3 minutes, clean. Well, kind of clean. He took a thumb to the eye,
right,
but whatever.
And, like, as far as dirty finishes to go, that's not even the best one
to
use.
He didn't take Loomis, I'm talking about at this point, didn't take a ton of damage. Really short match, and then a thumb to an eye and a neck breaker that's like a transitional move for a lot of people. Pins Loomis. The beatdown, whatever. But are we to believe... I love asking that. It's my favorite thing to say. Are we to believe? Are we to believe that Johnny Gargano wasn't watching his son-in-law's match, or he was watching and let him get beat down for a little bit? This is his son-in-law, as he calls it, right? So he allows the beatdown to happen.
Was he, like, busy?
Right? He doesn't watch
was he
his
in
family.
Catering?
He doesn't watch his family members' matches.
Was he, like, super far in the back?
Was he on his way to the arena? Because we know navigating the
cell
parking
phone
lot
addict?
is dangerous.
Oh,
right?
that's true. even if no one's trying to attack you, like, he's the one actually who started all the parking lot danger, remember?
Right.
When Aleister Black had the groinal injury.
True. It was revealed.
Yeah, so it's all Johnny Gargano's fault that the parking lot is such a dangerous place.
So just the idea that he allows his son-in-law to start
whatever it is, it just doesn't make sense.
To lose the match and get beat down before you run down is a bit of a glitch.
Yeah, I don't get it. I try not to pay attention to logic issues on the show, but...
So Gargano then gets a chance to speak in the ring, and obviously he's mad at Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams for screwing with his family, and he challenges Hayes to come out.
Another thing with what you were saying is, like, he should have known better. He should have expected something.
He could have even accompanied him to ringside, maybe? I don't know. That would if it were my son-in-law and he's dealing with a guy who's abducted someone and locked him in a trunk for a couple weeks.
Right, and then you're feuding with two heels.
Threatened to kill him by giving him a dead fish. Like, all of these things would probably be, hey man, family member, I'll come down with you to keep an eye on you.
Wouldn't it be weirder if you gave him a live fish just because, like...
No, dead fish is it's an Italian stereotype you might not be aware of. It's like a mafia stereotype that you're going to sleep with the fishes because there was this idea that they basically hide bodies in bodies of water and sink you. Like, they'll tie cinder blocks to you and sink you in the middle of a lake or an ocean or whatever. So that was the sleep with the fishes. But anyway,
that's nice.
Gargano calls out Carmelo Hayes but gets Pete Dunne instead. Dunne doesn't want Gargano
I mean, that's a win-win.
He doesn't want Gargano weaseling his way into a title opportunity. But then it's Hayes and Williams are kind of up in the balcony or something, right? So there's an interruption from there.
Impact did it better.
And of course, Trick, just to endear himself further to us, goes straight to a short joke about the guys that are down there, which very WWE thing to do.
Hayes is also, like, of similar stature, so...
But he is, you're right. And then Dunne fires back interesting. He basically asks who Trick Williams is, which I appreciated.
Yes.
Gargano says it's the guy that carries Mello's bags, which I also kind of appreciated, so obviously Trick doesn't like that. Carmelo Hayes starts to brag about himself and whatever. Pete Dunne cuts him off, reminds Carmelo Hayes that Pete Dunne has in fact beaten him, which is a fair point. Hayes says they can both have their shot at the same time for the championship next week. And Dunne says, you missed last week. I don't know why I made that note.
Oh, because he's like, Melo don't miss. And he's like, he missed last week.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, I was like, what does that mean? Thank you. That's why you're here. You make sense of my notes. Gargano says that you don't want to miss their triple threat next week. What did you think of this little interaction?
I think you missed the best line, because Hayes was like, I'm new school and you guys are the old guys, and Dunne's like, mate, I'm the same age as you, basically.
That's true.
Which I thought was awesome, because I honestly usually forget that now, because, I mean... if you look at Dunne in the UK tournament, he looked pretty young, but like now he's pretty much always got like a beard. He just looks older, but not only forget how, because he was 20 in that tournament, yes. Right? And Bate was 19.
And so not only did he say, I'm the same age as you, I think he finished it with, but I've already been wrestling for 10 years.
Right. Yeah, that too.
Which is a great line, you're right.
Yeah, and he's just been wrestling longer, so I forget how young he is, which is good, because then, I mean, if he's stuck here for a while, like...
He is a veteran, but he's not old. He's young still, very young, which is why it's a shame he's trapped in this company.
So this match, it's very appealing to me very
too.
Interesting. I'm not sure how much time it'll get, though. But it will force me to at least watch next week, and mark my words, if Dunne wins the title, I will stick around on the show until 2022.
Ooh,
okay?
Oh, wow.
And if he does not, I will actually stop watching this. I will actually quit, because this show's already bad. If Dunne does not win anything, this thing is rigged.
Wow.
And so if he loses, I quit.
Yeah, I think that's so you're willing to give another month at least if Dunne wins.
If Dunne wins, because then he is champion.
Okay. So I thought other than Trick Williams' contribution, which is always bad, and in this case it's double bad. It's his delivery and what it was written for him, right? Wasn't good.
Right.
I thought everything else about this was good, and it sets up what you're saying. I agree, a really good match if they give it some time. I'm not sure. The only issue I have is, why is heel Carmelo Hayes so generous with title shots, right? That's not consistent with the character he's been.
I guess he's just confident, I think.
I almost expect some sort of shenanigans, like he may have something planned. I don't know.
I don't know, because like his theme literally starts with, I'm the greatest to ever do this.
I guess.
So, I don't know. I feel like it might just be a character thing, but I'm okay with it. I'm not going to complain.
Yep. We then get a recap of the Grimes Duke Hudson drama ahead of their... I put match tonight because at this point I was still hopeful that it...
Showdown.
I know, but I thought...
Okay.
I was hopeful that it was some sort of match and they would just have like poker things as weapons or something.
How dare you? It is a poker showdown.
How,
like a poker street fight?
Right. Like, how dare I expect wrestling on a wrestling
how
show?
dare
That's
you?
my own problem.
I mean, that
That's on
doesn't
me.
exactly sound appealing either, but
No,
that sounds more appealing.
Of course not.
It sounds better.
So we then have Malcolm Bivens. He's speaking backstage. He starts to hype his people in Diamond Mine when Joe Gacy interrupts him. Gacy says he enjoys seeing a group of people unite under a common bond like the Diamond Mine.
Which, I mean, like, I don't know how that exactly applies to Diamond Mine specifically, because they're just like they're like a fighter group, which, so, shouldn't Gacy, like, dislike them?
It seems like they're shoehorning him into this.
Right, because they're all about violence, and he is not.
So Bivens goes on to say that they have a tryout in a couple weeks, and Gacy can go, but I think he said there's a fee of like $837 or something like that. So
what does Gacy have in common with them? What does he have to do with them? Like, it makes no sense.
Gacy says that that's what he wanted to hear, and Diamond Mine walk away. So you know what I think's happening?
Part of me makes it think it's for Harlan.
100%. That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I think when
then, I don't even think Harlan fits into this group either.
No, when he says that's what I wanted to hear, that there's an open tryout and you just have to pay to come, I feel like that's who he's gonna bring to this.
Right, because I still don't understand. Like, I guess that makes more sense by default, but I don't think that makes sense.
Does Harlan have any sort of amateur fighting background? I don't know.
I don't know.
That seems to be Diamond Mine's thing.
Even if he does, I don't think his character or like just his look. I just don't think he fits.
I honestly don't know if we know enough about him yet. That's what one of my
based off the fact that he's affiliated with Gacy and just
right.
the way he looks, like physically looks, like just the shaved head, the weird beard, the vest thing.
To me, it almost feels like they're trying to present him as like a convict or something, you know what I mean, is what the vibe I get,
see, then, like, if that is it, I don't think that look fits with them.
So that's what I was wondering, is when is Harlan actually going to join Gacy, and I think that's where this might be going. I mean, we could be wrong. I guess it leads...
I don't really even have, like, a desire to see either Harlan or Gacy in the group either.
No. So it's maybe going to lead to a program with joining Gacy to help out even the numbers, like Harlan joins Gacy and we get a tag match and whatever.
I mean, he kind of already has, but like, I mean, like, he just hasn't been around. It's all a confusing mess.
Bivens being a heel and making money off of Diamond Mine tryouts is something that I don't mind, and they could keep going back to.
That makes sense. I kind of like that bit, yeah.
And I guess there's nothing wrong with this segment. I just didn't think it was that great either. It wasn't like actively bad, but it wasn't amazing.
Yeah, that's fair.
We then get an LA Knight video about how he's a megastar. He came here to NXT to be champion, and he's not there, but he feels like he's the uncrowned champ. He then turns his attention to talking about Grayson Waller. He says Waller has things easy and is all over social media, but Knight doesn't need that trash. What did you think? Did you feel this was... I'm going to put this out here.
I didn't make a note of it.
I think this show, we're seeing a double turn.
What do you mean?
I think that this was LA Knight going babyface, and I think Grayson
Knight does not work as babyface.
Grayson Waller later was definitely heelish, and he feels heely. Like, no matter what he does, I think Grayson Waller's like super annoying in a good way if they present him as a heel.
I don't think Knight works as a babyface though.
I feel like that's what's happening here. I'm not saying you're wrong and that it'll work, but
I don't know. I definitely see the merit for the Waller thing, but I don't see Knight turning to be babyface.
And how does he justify himself being the uncrowned champion or getting a title shot?
Right, and because my thing was, one,
what's he done lately?
He lost to Braun Breaker on that first show.
Correct.
And then I'm almost positive Ciampa pinned him too.
Right.
So therefore, Dunn is the uncrowned champion, if anything. Or, dare I say, Von Wagner.
So I feel that this was less... Because he starts taking... Previously, he's been all about, like, I have money and expensive tastes and all, I'm fancy. But this was like, I'm taking off my watch and I'm taking off all my expensive stuff and I'm just a regular guy. I'm the uncrowned champion.
But that's not necessarily a babyface thing.
It's not, but just looking at how they present Waller later, I'm looking back at this and going, is this them doing a double turn? Maybe not well, but anyway, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah, they don't do anything well.
We then get our next match, which is... grown Jacket Time. Even just saying the name is tough.
It's not good.
Jacket Time and Odyssey Jones.
Oh, that's even worse.
Are taking on the Diamond Mine. Sorry. Oh my God, I said it. Because on a podcast I listen to, I swear like 40% of them say Diamond Mind. And
it's hard not to. I don't know why.
Now I've absorbed it somehow. Yeah. Diamond Mine. They're mining diamonds. So Jiro.
Diamonds in the rough. Oh wait, diamonds in the rust hat.
So my summaries of matches are very quick now on NXT. I'm getting away from a lot of move for move stuff because there isn't much.
It is a waste of time.
So basically, this match, Jiro is there to get beaten on. Odyssey Jones is there to hit a couple basic moves at a time and tag out. We did get a nice hot tag in the middle of this from Kushida, I thought. And the sequences between Kushida and Strong were actually pretty good. Jones actually took an angle slam, and that had to have the pin broken up. So that's about the weakest Odyssey Jones has looked, right? He actually took a move and didn't like powerhouse kick out on his own. He had to get someone to break it up. So then we get strikes by Jiro and Kushida and a running crossbody by Jones. He pins Roderick Strong after about 8.5 minutes. What did you think?
It's like a standing splash.
Yes, basically.
Which is lame.
Yes. No, it was like a crossbody.
It was a crossbody. That's what I meant.
It was kind of like the Divide or whatever that Killian Dane used to do.
Killian Dane
did it better. Of course.
Also didn't finish matches with it.
Right.
This is very basic and boring, and of course they booked their cruiserweight champion to lose to a running crossbody from Jones.
Right.
Which, I mean, he is big.
That was my first note. Of all the people that could take the pin in this match, you decide to go with the cruiserweight champion, right? That just I don't know, man. I don't know what they're doing.
But on a serious note, he offers nothing, and he really can't do anything interesting in the ring. Like, they touted him as, like, big man with surprising athleticism. I was like, oh, cool, Keith Lee kind of guy.
Nope.
He could not be the more opposite to Keith Lee other than the fact that they're both big. Jack and Time would be a great tag team if they weren't presented as complete idiots.
They're just the comedy tag team now.
I know how Jiro's character is, but they could try to make them more legit, because there is potential in that tag team. I like both of them. I think they're both good in the ring. I think they could have some good chemistry, but they're just presented as complete comic relief doofuses, so it just doesn't work.
Agree.
And
the
name's
so
not great.
You have the only champion involved in this match, pinned clean by a rookie, of course. I thought the match was just okay. It got a ton of time by NXT standards, going over 8 minutes. Jiro was asked to do nothing other than sell, right? Did he even get his jacket punch spots?
I think he got one.
Right? The Creeds were also less noticeable than usual, because I generally like them, right? I think they look pretty strong, but they didn't stand out in this match to me at all. Jones still looks like a guy who's learning the basics of wrestling, all the while being booked like to look dominant, right? So you don't really know how to wrestle, but we're going to keep you looking dominant anyways, and it kind of makes everybody else involved look bad when that's the case. This match did nothing for Diamond Mine, and I actually thought they had sort of picked up some momentum along the way a little bit. And it's this idea that they're this cohesive team that train together all the time, yet they're beaten decisively by a quickly thrown together team, right? Led by a rookie. So I don't know. If you sort of pull back and look at it that way, it's not good for Diamond Mine.
It is not.
Grizzled Young Veterans are on the phone.
Oh, I hate this so much. Like on a FaceTime call or something.
With Gibson's Nan. And they're pretending to be the NXT Tag Team Champions as they are using Toxic Attraction's belts as their FaceTiming. So Gibson says something about this helping him get his inheritance. So we're now wedging that storyline in here. Just tell us, right? I don't know. And they leave to go return the belts to Toxic Attraction. What did you think?
These poor guys, they just made them look so stupid. Now they're just like idiots who are like, now they really came across as losers here.
Yes, they are now. It's taken 2 weeks, but they've now broken down the Grizzled Young Veterans to like a joke of a comedy thing now as well, I guess. Everything's comedy.
So stupid.
Everything is like has at least this side of comedy to it, and it's really, really irritating. So yeah, they've 2 weeks it's taken them to make these guys look like a total joke. I can't think of any other established act that has been more hurt by the shift in 2.0, because I really liked these guys before this, and they even did have a hint of comedy even then, right? Like there was something about them, but now it's being just pushed too far, and they're made to look like idiots based on these last couple weeks. Just terrible ideas from the creative team. I feel bad for the Grizzled Young Veterans. This was a bad segment. Maybe not as bad as last week's, but still really bad.
Yeah, this was awful.
Andre Chase then makes his way to the ring for his next match. But then we cut
Speaking of awful.
Yeah, MSK are at the airport waiting for whoever gave them their name, right? It's still this. We need to find out the origin story for the MSK name. And they assume that people care about this. I don't. And especially after we see how they make these segments. But anyways, there's some sort of thinly veiled joke about how they got their drugs past security, right? I don't know if you picked up on that. It was the whole, like, their supplies. Anytime they're talking about supplies, they're talking about drugs. So then Wes Lee talks about getting a whole bunch of free upgrades or whatever, but it ends up that he's taking a different flight from Carter, and so Carter is annoyed by this. I don't know why that became something, that they're on separate flights. But anyways,
I don't know why they would do that, but
they meet up wherever they're going, which I don't think they tell us even, right? So they arrive at whatever destination in the airport. So they meet up, and they behave like idiots. They're hugging and whatever else, just overacting and behaving like human beings don't behave, and it makes me cringe. So you've got them in a normal everyday setting of an airport, behaving as no human being has ever behaved, right? So
that's again, behaving as no human has ever behaved.
Again, it's this everything's comedy, everything's a cartoon. Done. This is not for me. I am a grown adult. I feel like they're not looking to.
I don't like this either.
So this was so bad that I was getting angry at this, and I'm not even a staunch lover of MSK, right? Like, I enjoy some of their matches. Their character work's never been very good.
This doesn't help.
These guys can't act, and the tone of this is just awkward. I don't know what I'm supposed to be getting from this. Add to the fact that they're now calling it a shaman, right? That they're going to meet. I don't care. What's the payoff that's going to be here that I'm going to care about?
We are going to find out what their name stands for, or are we even?
I don't know. So it's not interesting at all. It's now spanned 3 weeks of TV, and who is this for, right? So I don't know what your reaction was. Sorry, I went into mine right there. I don't imagine you disagree.
This is incredibly dumb and made no sense. It had no purpose like the previous segment, and it sucked.
You didn't even give me much time to sip my coffee with that succinct criticism, but you're not wrong. So then we go back to what was supposed to be next, but is never next because WWE doesn't know what next means. So now it's Andre Chase taking on Zion Quinn. So Chase actually gets some offense in here, but a lot of it was like a million stomps in a row that was kind of annoying, but it might be another one of those like Zion Quinn's not ready to take any offense because he's super green, right? Sorry, I don't like using the word green. I just mean inexperienced.
I did mention though, Quinn's theme sucks.
I don't even remember.
The phrase at the beginning was really weird, and then it's just genericness.
So we get a modified Samoan drop and a jackhammer, and Quinn wins in
under 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Damn it.
All right, they gave this one some extra time.
Yeah.
So Legado come out and attack Quinn after the match. And of course, Quinn being a brand new wrestler, he is able to fight off 2 of experienced tag team wrestlers on his own.
I mean, yeah, Raul Mendoza, I think he's been an NXT jobber since, like, for as long as I can remember.
He has. He's never been super pushed.
Well, I mean, like, until Legado, but I mean, like, he's been in NXT for as long as I can remember.
So he fights off Legado until Santos Escobar arrives, and then it's numbers game as he joins the attack. So they hold Quinn, as my words are, the new leader of Legado, Elektra Lopez, right?
And she's like dressed in like this, like it was black, but like just like the most like whatever clothing to make her look like, oh, she's so hot,
right?
And she's wearing like heels to make her look taller too.
Am I wrong? Is she not presented as the leader of this faction?
That makes me sad because she's literally jobber.
Right. So she gets in Quinn's face.
And her name sucks. I would
tells him that no one says no to her, and then they just sort of leave Quinn lying. Thoughts?
No, they slammed him down on like steel grating.
Yes, sorry, I'm leaving out details because who cares at this point. I'm really getting succinct in my NXT, which is kind of why I don't mind covering it, because I've just sort of given up and but like, you're not trying, I'm not trying.
I get bored because I keep saying the same things about the matches pretty much.
That is true. There's not much you can say.
And then the segments, they usually vary, but then they just make my brain hurt. A Met enhancement match. At least Quinn's moved on from that dumb running forearm finisher. Although Jackhammer isn't exactly original or interesting. I didn't care for the Legado stuff whatsoever because it's all dumb. And I said that before I'd even seen it because we paused, I think, at this just before the attack.
And you can just fill in your notes.
Right. And then after watching it, I decided to add in a bit, which was Elektra Lopez sucks.
She's not great. I think, again, this is another example of a guy being so limited in the ring that he can't take any sophisticated offense. So then his opponent ends up looking weaker, right? I've seen Andre Chase wrestle as Harlem Bravado numerous times on the indies, and he knows how to wrestle. He's an experienced wrestler.
I think his gimmick has a bit of potential, but they just haven't done anything good with it.
So either they're holding him back consciously to protect, quote unquote, their preferred talent in Quinn, or Quinn isn't ready. Either way, it leads to a not very interesting match. So you got exactly what you expect here. And 3 experienced talents are basically now just minions for Elektra Lopez. Santos Escobar, run. just run away from NXT and never look back and go somewhere else because you're awesome, right? Like, I don't know.
I need him out of there. I need Dunn out of there. I need Gargano out of there. And I need O'Reilly out of there.
I would respect him at this point with this company so likely to just release you at the drop of the hat. I would really respect somebody just walking away and going, deal with it, right? Like, you're either going to suspend me or release me, or you're going to keep paying me, but I don't want to be involved in this anymore. If I have to live with the possibility of being fired for no apparent reason right in the middle of a storyline, possibly, right? They don't care. Why does he... Anyways, someone should just walk away and say, too bad, deal with it, because I'd be really interested to see what happened. But anyways, we immediately...
I could see Dunn maybe eventually, like, 'cause he's stuck there for at least 3 years.
This infuriated me too and made me feel like I was watching main roster WWE. We immediately get a thorough replay of the beatdown we watched 30 seconds ago. What the heck, man? Honestly.
That is true. That did happen.
And then we get another tiny segment hyping up the poker showdown. That is next. Nope, it's not next.
Of course it's not.
Because Mackenzie talks to Raquel Gonzalez next about her feud with Dakota Kai.
I think this is bad too, if I'm remembering correctly.
Gonzalez says the title had become a part of her.
No, it was the other one.
And she took it everywhere with her, and it was one shovel shot, and it was gone, and now she has to watch Mandy Rose walk around with her title.
Which I agree is disgusting.
Tonight is about revenge, and she wants Dakota Kai to bring that shovel because Gonzalez will bury her with it.
See, my confusion was, is she going to bury her in a grave with the shovel laying next to her, or is she going to use that shovel to bury Dakota Kai? Because that I was unclear on
She's
that.
going to dig, well, she could dig the grave with the shovel, put Kai and the shovel in, and then just kind of kick the dirt in. Right? That seems like the most efficient way to do it.
Right, and then you're burying her with her shovel, and then you're burying her with her shovel to bury her with her shovel. Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
so you got all your bases covered.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
What'd you think of the actual promo?
I thought it was okay. I didn't really care. I don't appreciate her burying someone because that's not very nice.
I think she did a good job here, but I feel like every time she speaks now, it's basically like them going, we get that it doesn't make sense that she's just sort of given up on the championship, right? Because she is, according to WWE logic, gets a rematch pretty much, right? But it's kind of like, we know it's dumb that she's walked away from that,
right,
but we're going to remind you that she's going to go back to it because it doesn't really make sense that she's not. But anyways, it's kind of like I'm going to pause and then go back to it when I'm done with Dakota is what it felt like to me.
Because rivalries.
We then move into what should be the highlight of every wrestling fan's life, for sure. Whether you're, a 6-year wrestling fan like you or a 35-year wrestling fan like me, because it's time. We get the poker showdown.
Hell yeah.
Between Duke Hudson and Cameron Grimes.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's freaking go.
And again, I am a huge poker fan. I am an Texas Hold'em aficionado. I have played a lot. I have studied a lot. I have read a dozen books on the subject.
You watched a lot. I remember you used to watch a lot of
ton.
The poker, like All Stars or whatever.
I've done math simulations. I've studied the math of Hold'em poker. So anyways... I
remember you always watched like the poker tournaments or something, and then I was always bored out of my mind.
You were. So I should be a huge fan of this. It's combining two of my loves, which is wrestling and poker.
But I don't think that's even a good idea.
So they start out explaining to us how Texas Hold'em works, but then they clearly don't know because there's not to get to whatever, but there's no blinds in this. So meaning there's no forced bets before the action even starts, which is present in every game ever of Texas Hold'em, unless I missed that detail, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. So anyways, the poker showdown, much to my surprise, is not a match or anything else. It's just them sitting down to play poker, and in this case, one hand of poker is all it takes for everything that they need to happen, because that's how things work.
Yep.
So anyways, Duke, there's a lot of table talk here, as it's called in poker. He says that luck is
They're wired with mics, which I thought looked really unnatural, because they just look like they're talking normally, but then you can, like, hear it
perfectly
throughout the arena and whatnot, like, which I just feel like looked really weird.
So Duke says luck is for losers. These are his cards, his chips, and he'll make Grimes his bitch.
What does it matter if it's his cards? Is he implying like that's a good
I'm the
charm?
poker expert,
Okay.
so I think. Grimes says that Hudson is sweating like Shaq at the free throw line, which is pretty funny because Shaq was terrible at shooting free throws. And reminds Duke that Grimes won when they played 2 weeks ago. And at this point, I told you I was kind of noticing the crowd in the background as this is going on, and almost nobody is looking at the ring. There's people on their phone, there's people talking to the person next to them, there's people just staring off into space. So
Right.
I don't think this is grabbing anyone's attention. So long story short, Cameron Grimes ends up bluffing. I'm not going to talk about how this hand goes down, but Hudson, who is the pro poker player, reacts like the least professional poker player in the history of the world. He reacts like the guy who's never played before and gets really mad when he gets unlucky. Like somebody who in theory has played tens of thousands of hands, as I personally have, you start to just roll with the bad beats like this, right? Because you understand that this is what's called variance, not to get into probabilities and math too much. Shout out to you, Reddy, if you're listening right now, my math consultant. But like, this isn't how it works. You play enough, you start to understand that that's just variance, right? And that it's all going to come back around and you just need to stay calm and keep playing. But Hudson is a hothead, I guess is the point. So then he gets angry, ends up attacking Grimes and hitting what I thought was the highlight of the segment. He power bombs Grimes through the poker table, so the chips and cards and everything fly everywhere, which I thought was a pretty cool visual. And then he goes and he gets scissors from under the ring and he starts cutting Grimes' hair and beard. And then Grimes is just sort of left seething on the mat as the segment ends. So what did you think of this amazing segment?
This is dumb. No wrestling fan wants to watch a poker game, even if they like poker like you.
Right.
They would you just watch an actual poker game, like
Right.
with people who are good at it, and like, I don't know, like, this is boring, and I already find poker boring to watch. So combining with NXT 2.0 and the garbage crap that these guys have to spew out of their mouths, and you had the perfect recipe for a boring disaster. The finish was meh, not surprising at all, and the attack from Hudson was also not surprising, and I still don't care.
Yeah, and it's just so contrived when you play one hand and you get exactly what you want, right? Because Hudson started out with the best hand, had the best hand on the flop, and then basically the board ran out scary for him, and Grimes shoved all in, and Hudson made the correct fold because he can't call in that spot right there. There were 4 hearts on the board, so any heart in Grimes' hand, and he loses, right? So anyways, I think NXT just have a low opinion of their fans, that they thought this would be entertaining, right? And that's kind of how I feel this show is now, a reflection that they just think, either they think their fans aren't very smart or they don't care, whatever it is.
They always think that.
The only positive is that the poker only lasted one hand. I guess they got it over with, as unrealistic and contrived as that makes this whole thing. Hudson reacted again as though he'd never played poker before, and exactly the opposite how a good professional poker player would take a loss like this. The spot through the table looked pretty cool, if I'm being positive. Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly are then talking in the locker room. O'Reilly says he saw Von on SmackDown, but he's not worried about that or their recent loss to Legado. Von, just in like an Oscar caliber performance here, says that he ain't worried about that and they should go handle business.
This was lame. O'Reilly isn't the best on the mic, and the lines he got were crap. And Wagner's awful too. He just sounds so cardboard and unauthentic.
Unbelievable.
He just sounds so
You went
boring.
Cardboard, I went wooden, but I think we
Wooden.
meant the
That's
same
what I
thing.
meant. Whatever.
Yeah. No, cardboard's fine too.
Like, he is taking a beginner's acting class or something. Like, this team sucks, and I am so sad for O'Reilly.
Poor Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah, Wagner is consistently the worst. I think he's the worst person on the mic that I've heard in a long time. He just could not sound less natural if he tried. Like, if you said, hey, Von Wagner, I want you to sound like you're the world's worst actor, I don't know if I'd know the difference between him trying to
Right.
act really well and trying to act really badly.
Right.
And yeah, I just feel bad for O'Reilly at this point, and I'm hoping he's counting the days too, because is it not his contract is up as well shortly?
Yeah,
I believe.
I think so.
So then we get Briggs and Jensen. They're sort of already in the ring, just finishing their entrance, it looks like. They're taking on Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner here. So Jensen is wearing a homemade t-shirt at this point, right? Which was cool. Not really, but anyways.
Was he? What was it?
He just had... What did he have on it even? I don't remember. But it was like a white t-shirt with just like marker on it, I think, basically.
I don't remember.
Anyways. So, sorry, sarcastic note alert. Young rookie Kyle O'Reilly enters with his mentor Von Wagner, whose theme is now the one featured. So O'Reilly comes out, you get a little bit of his theme, and then it gets cut off because we got to make way.
I liked O'Reilly's theme, so I was disappointed when Wagner's theme cut it off. And then his theme is so generic. I forgot how generic it was because I just couldn't remember the sound. I just knew it was dumb and generic like him, so it was so bad.
Wagner is clearly the featured star of this partnership, right? As ridiculous as that is to even say out loud, that is the presentation we're getting. So they, remember this part? They cut to fans. Remember what were the fans doing?
Oh, right. They were doing the Undisputed Era gesture.
They cut to a couple guys up in the crowd doing the Undisputed Era hand gesture. So they quickly, whoops, cut away from that because you can't have that.
I respect those guys.
No, that was one of the highlights of the show for me, honestly. So anyways, Kyle gets some kicks in before Briggs and Jensen dominate him and pose on the floor a little bit. Imperium are shown backstage watching the match with their tag team championships. So the big men then tag in, and obviously Von Wagner's going to get the upper hand here. We get kicks and headbutts by the baby faces to Briggs in the corner a bit later. Kyle comes in, but of course he gets dominated until he tags in Wagner, who does what he does and dominates with a suplex and a flatliner. O'Reilly hits a running knee off the apron, and that takes out Josh Briggs. And that allows big ol' Von Wagner to hit his double underhook twisting slam thingamajig in
that looked awful.
Just about 5 minutes. So then, through some subtitles backstage, Bartel says that Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly are improving but are still not at Imperium's level, but they add that nobody's on their level, and teams have a better chance of getting a job working security than beating them for the titles, which, yeah, wouldn't you think that's the case? Probably. I don't know.
Is security a difficult job?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't know. Well, at NXT it might be. The parking lot, the backstage area, it's all very violent places.
That's true.
What did you think of this?
Boring and formulaic match. O'Reilly just gets to me to look like a chump each time, and then Wagner's supposed to look good, but he just looks mediocre and generic despite always getting the prime offense.
Yep.
I don't like this team. I don't care about this team, and this makes me want O'Reilly to go to AEW even more, because then even if he doesn't go back to being a single star, he could at least be in a good tag team, nay, a great tag team.
Right. It's funny that you use the word formulaic, because my notes are, here's the formula. Kyle tags in, gets dominated, Wagner tags in, cleans house with really basic offense, repeat, right?
I would even go to say extremely basic offense.
Kyle O'Reilly must be counting the days until his contract is done. He must sit there and watch Adam Cole and Bobby Fish on Dynamite every Wednesday and cry, because I wouldn't blame him one bit.
Right.
This match was...
Especially because they just teamed together on Rampage, too. Must have been watching that.
This match was incredibly basic, offered nothing. We are watching training matches, so this is what you get, right? You have to accept you're not getting talented wrestlers wrestling. You might get one match in 2 hours. Everything else is people learning on the job, and they're expecting you to watch it and enjoy it, and it's starting to get insulting. So Persia Parada and Indy Hartwell are backstage. Indy is obviously very worried about her husband, since he's going to be checked out where? At a hospital? No.
A medical facility.
Medical facility. Cannot say hospital. Persia says...
Wait, what did you just say?
Sorry, I don't know. Hospital? What is that? It's a medical facility.
Yes. A local medical facility, perhaps?
Persia tells Indy, don't worry, I've got this, regarding their match. So it looks like it's going to become a handicap match, because she tells Indy to go be there for her man.
Which I don't really see the point for being there, but
I said this was fine, too short to be anything, ready to move on.
Yep.
It's time for another episode of Lashing Out with Lash Legend. I get excited for these.
This is my least favorite thing.
But it's this twisted thing where I always am like, yes, Lash LaRue, because it's going to be so bad.
Lash LaRue.
Sorry, that one wasn't even intentional. Usually when I do that, it's as a joke, but now I've joked myself right into thinking that that's who this is.
And because her name does not matter whatsoever. She does not matter.
So she says, this is Lash, that she needs to address the elephant in the room, and that is Kaylee Ray interrupting Toxic Attraction.
Is that even the elephant in the room? Is there even an elephant in the room?
She says Kaylee Ray needs to recognize that there's 3 of them and 1 of her. And then Grayson Waller...
I'm pretty sure she can do the most basic math known to man.
Because Lash LaRue's segments can't focus on anything for longer than 40 seconds, right?
I would say 10.
Maybe even 40 might honestly be generous.
No, it is. It definitely is.
So Grayson Waller comes in to interrupt. He says he has some tea to spill, which is a phrase that could just go away right now.
Right, and what he did wasn't really spilling any tea either. That's I feel like a term for gossip or something, right?
I was just going to ask you, young person, is that not for revealing some hot gossip?
Right, which he did not do. It's just he was ranting.
Right. So he says basically that LA Knight claims that Waller never paid his dues, and then he goes on to say why, because he didn't drive 500 miles to a high school gym to compete. He says all he did was he survived on reality TV, put out a video, and WWE came calling him, right? He says this industry isn't about wins and losses anymore. I've noticed, like, no kidding. And it's about
50-50 booking,
it's about
baby.
likes and tweets. The game has changed and it's his now. Waller leaves and Lash says the tea has been spilled. What'd you think?
I hope it's hot tea and I hope it spills on her face.
Oh, that's not nice. I think she has potential. I think what they're asking her to do is ridiculous.
I do not think she has potential.
I think she has some charisma and she can speak.
I don't know what to say. These segments are just so mind-numbing. No, she cannot. The Waller stuff was kind of, because I feel like the stuff he was saying about like how the veterans don't matter and whatever, like I feel like that's their actual mentality or something.
It is. He's sort of.
I mean, I like the whole paying your dues thing because that's like I feel like that's true. Like that's not really how it has to work anymore.
This is what I'm saying. Doesn't this feel heel turny by Waller?
Or I don't know. Maybe it's just like. Because Knight is such a mega heel, maybe it's just like rejecting, like, I don't know.
Because he's basically going...
I could see that coming off as likable too, though.
Because Waller's basically going, screw paying your dues. I'm a kid of the digital age. I was just a star in a reality show, and I got noticed. Too bad.
Or I don't know.
Think that's babyface.
It could be heel, but I feel like it could also be like this. It's just like the new way, and he's like rejecting the stubborn heel or whatever. I don't know. It could be heel, but I don't think it has to be
millennial versus boomer, right? Like
right. Which I could see them. That's such a WWE thing to do.
And that would make Waller the face.
That's such a WWE thing to do, actually. Yeah,
so who knows?
I didn't really love any of this. I'm okay with Waller's heel. He can do whatever.
Are we intrigued then? Because we're talking about it a lot.
Oh no! Move on.
But anyways, yeah. So I kind of liked what Waller had to say. Where they're going with it, I don't know. It's basically like...
And I don't even really care.
Like, you older generation, you whine about the young kids not paying their dues. So it's this thing that bugs me about older people, too. Why, because you suffered to get to a certain place, do you want other people to suffer the same? Why can't you, as a human being, go, I really wish it was easier for you to be successful. I understand that I had to suffer to get here, but as a member of the human race, I would rather other people not suffer, right? But so I kind of like that that's how he's pointing it out. Like, sure, I took an easier route to get here.
Right, and I don't think that's necessarily, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like that doesn't have to be healed. Right?
You're right.
It's like he's, like, kind of, I don't know if it's, like, standing up for his generation or, like, talking down on the stubborn boomers or whatever,
right.
But, like, I don't know. I think it works either way. You can definitely take it in either direction.
Like this idea that suffering is a rite of passage, right? Like, why not just hope other humans don't suffer as much as you
suffer,
did?
good for you, but...
Anyways, so I'm not sure if this is babyface or heel, but I'm kind of liked what he said here, and I'm interested to see where it goes. Trying to give NXT a little bit of positivity. We then go to Persia Pirotta in a handicap match, taking on Gabby Stevens and Jenna Levy, which I had to look up her name because I don't even know if they were named or if it was on the screen for like a nanosecond.
I didn't even catch it.
So Robert Stone has another new look, right? He's on the ramp looking very different. His hair is just blown out and looking crazy. So Persia, here's my summary of this match. She wins in under 2 minutes with a fall-away slam to both opponents at once, and then she hits what I called a sit-out face-buster from, I think, a fireman's carry, right? So
yeah, it's not a great move.
To only one of them, but picks up the pinfall here. Persia then celebrates as Stone is just slow clapping on the ramp.
Romantic storyline number 57.
Or is it the... anyways, what'd you think of this? I'll give my thoughts in a second.
I don't know. Either way, that thing goes, I don't like it. Boring short squash, I don't care. Robert Stone is pointless.
Persia is strong. She wins squash match.
She doesn't even look like a powerhouse, honestly. I literally do not understand the whole powerhouse thing.
We talked about it. She is larger than the average woman in WWE. So she is a strong woman for sure. But I see what you're saying. Like it's not like she looks like China or
like, I don't know, Raquel is at least like actually like bigger. Like, I don't know. She just doesn't come across as that for me, and it just does not work.
I'm wondering if she now has to deal with the curse of Robert Stone, right? Because think about everybody that's been in the Robert Stone brand. Let's go ahead. Who's in it? Let's
Chelsea Green.
So how's that worked out? Gone.
Injured, gone.
Oh yeah, injured too, right away and
on
gone.
SmackDown. Yeah, Aaliyah. She's useless
main
on
roster,
SmackDown.
but not doing anything.
Jessica Maya.
Gone.
Oh yeah, she is gone.
Frankie Monet, gone.
Oh, right. Frankie Monet. How did I forget?
So that's what I'm saying. Like, do you really want to show up?
Why does he keep affiliating with women only?
You want to show up to work and have them go, you're going to be in segments with Robert Stone. No. It's the curse. But I like Robert Stone. Of a
curse, yeah. I saw the curse at the North American title, too, because think about how many of the champions are still there. Like, Adam Cole's gone. Ricochet is on the main roster. Gargano is still there.
Hopefully gone. Fingers crossed.
Who beat him? Velveteen Dream is gone. Roderick Strong is still there. Keith Lee's gone.
Escobar.
Priest is there. Then who beat Priest?
Escobar's been usurped as the leader of his faction.
Right. Leon Ruff is gone.
True.
Bronson Reed is gone. Swerve is gone, and then Hayes is here. So like
it's
a lot of them are gone.
Stepping stone to a better place. I would actually want the title then. I think curse is the wrong word.
Well, I guess like in terms of saying WWE.
Right, which is a blessing, not a curse. It's the blessing of the North American title.
I guess.
It's not a curse. If it gets you out of NXT, that's good.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mackenzie's backstage with Dakota Kai, and why are they... I love Dakota Kai, and they... Anyways, I can't even. We'll talk about it. Mackenzie asked Dakota about Raquel's comments. Kai suspiciously asked if Mackenzie is best friends with Raquel now. Kai implies she might hit Mackenzie with the shovel.
Yeah.
And adds that she's been lost since she lost to Raquel Gonzalez. The only way to purge that is to get rid of her past by ending Raquel. Kai says it all started at Halloween Havoc, but Toxic Attraction interrupt and say it all ends tonight. Kai says they'd like that, wouldn't they? And then she walks off, and Grizzled Young Veterans walk in with the women's tag team titles. They say it was some other team that was using the titles as they chatted with their Nan. They give the titles
back. Who else has Nan?
To Toxic. Yeah, they give it back to Toxic Attraction, and they leave as Grizzled Young Veterans think they got away with their little scheme. Which who cares if they didn't? But anyways, go ahead. Who
cares if they didn't? Who cares if they did?
Any thoughts on this segment?
Garbage. Even the way Mandy dresses and looks when she's just standing there is dumb. Like it's like she's wearing like the jeans. She's like got like jeans down or whatever. And
painted
she's got,
on.
She's got like the weird top and like just like trying to look like a hot girl as much as possible.
Yes.
And like just the way Toxic Attraction dress is just so stupid. Grizzly Young Veterans look super stupid. The interaction between Toxic Attraction and Kai was dumb. This is all dumb. I hated all of it.
I love Dakota Kai, but this crazy unhinged character she's doing,
that doesn't work.
I feel like it's just lazy, and I'm not enjoying it.
It's not her.
I get that some of the new characters are not working, but why do you have to change the characters of experienced, established people to look so ridiculous, like Grizzled Young Veterans, MSK, Dakota Kai now? This is the type of stuff that I don't know if I can do this much longer, because they're making her significantly worse. And maybe it's also on her, because I find her presentation of the gimmick is just kind of over the top and not really interesting at all. It might not even
be her fault, because I don't know, I'm not sure what they're giving her.
Right. For sure what they're giving her is lazy, but I'm not really loving her performance either, and I love Dakota Kai, so I'm frustrated by this. Tommaso Ciampa now gets a chance to talk. He talks about how he's defended his title in the States and in the UK, and he's defended it with prestige. He says there's a lack of integrity, and you know what? Screw it. He's going to address it in the ring. Any thoughts on this little bit?
Not even a little bit.
So I thought this was a strange change because he's had nothing but like respectful praise for Braun Breaker over the last few weeks, and now all of a sudden he has issues with all of the youngsters, right? Yeah. So where is that coming from? I don't know.
Because Braun Breaker keeps whining.
Again, I think they assume we have no attention span, and like they literally, other people have said, if it happened more than 2 weeks ago, it didn't happen, right? Because they think we're stupid. We're either not going to remember or not going to care. Unless it's a title change.
Because then everyone has a title.
Again, a reflection of how WWE execs view their fan base, and it's not flattering. They think we're stupid, basically, is what I'm saying.
They do.
This segment, man, Casey Catanzaro and Kaden Carter are cool, hip ravers who go to concerts and just have fun. They just love to have fun, which is the kiss of death. Like, I'm not even summarizing. It's just showing them at concerts. So even in
they love to have fun.
And we're still in a pandemic, and it's showing them at these overcrowded concerts where no one has masks on or anything. And maybe
how the U.S. works now.
Maybe I'm being oversensitive, but anyways. So I don't know. What'd you think of this? They're trying to give them some character, I guess. is the plus side, but
Aiden Carter and Casey Catanzaro, come on down to receive your brand new singular trait basic gimmick.
right,
Yours will be have fun party girls.
concert
Woo!
girls.
Yes, enjoy.
Yep. So that is
honestly, it's just this is the attempt to brand them with like a singular trait.
One defining
gimmick.
characteristic for everyone. Right.
Exactly.
You are concert people.
Right.
And the whole tagline of they love to have fun, that's the kiss of death. There's 2 kisses of death. They just loves to have fun and has all the tools. If they say either of those things about you, you're screwed. So anyways, another cringeworthy segment of the 2.0 era for me, and I'm going to be fair, I appreciate them trying to give these 2 some depth character-wise because they don't really very often.
Yeah,
but
I
the
don't
way they
think
choose
this
to
was
do
a
it
good...
is insulting again.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, this one did not work.
Right. So Ciampa does now come to the ring to speak and elaborate on what he sort of said a couple minutes ago. He says he needs to vent because there are guys in the back like Mello, so we're talking about Carmelo Hayes, who tries to convince himself that he's actually holding on to the A title in this company. But he says, let's be real, Mello isn't going to take a shot at him because he'll miss and shoot an air ball. Then there's, quote, bitch-ass Grayson Waller talking about how guys of his generation went around the country for a hot dog and a handshake, and there's something wrong with that. He says he'll tell Grayson what he can do with this hot dog, which I'm not sure if that was like a
Stick it in the fridge.
homophobic thing. I didn't really appreciate that if that's the case. I'm not sure if I'm reading too much into it. Did not appreciate.
I don't know, but...
So here comes Braun Breaker to reply, obviously, because he represents the youth of this company, I assume.
The hot dog thing kind of reminds me... I remember we were just watching The Office yesterday, and then, right, because Andy's not working there anymore, and then, Dwight's like, Jim, tell him where he can stick his grapes, and Jim's like, in the fridge.
Braun says Tommaso Ciampa is out here calling out guys who have done the same thing he did to make it to the top. He bet it pissed Ciampa off that there's a new crop of guys here, but
it pissed me off too.
The only person he needs to worry about is Braun, because he's going to run through Tommaso and take the championship.
He's the poster boy.
Ciampa just basically says, wow, that was powerful. He says he doesn't know how this works, but maybe there's a guy who can pull up footage of the end of Halloween Havoc. He calls for the footage of his beating Breaker on that show, and he says it was 1, 2, 3. He's no math major, and by the sounds of it, Braun isn't either, but he says the way he sees it is Braun has less than a 33 1/3 chance, harkening back to the Steiner math promo,
which I have seen a bit. It's pretty funny.
So they just make infinite references to him being a Steiner, but won't fully connect those dots.
The world's dumbest name ever.
They won't fully connect those dots for us, right? But they're making constant reference. Anyways, he has a 33 1/3 chance of taking the NXT title from him. He says at the end of the day, Braun's just a puppy, and Ciampa is the NXT champion, and Ciampa sort of walks away. Thoughts?
They should call him the big bad booty puppy.
As these two continue to orbit each other.
Yeah, I didn't love this. Ciampa's promo is whatever, and then Braun Breaker is Braun Breaker.
He is.
So I love this. I really don't want another match between these two, but that seems to be what we're getting.
It does. I thought Ciampa was fine. I thought Breaker sounded worse here than he usually does. I thought he kind of sounded nervous and a bit shaky, and I haven't had too many issues with his. I don't think his promos have been amazing, but I also don't think he's been bad. It feels like
I think he's kind of sucked.
It feels like we're going down a road we've already been down, right? We did this already, and Ciampa won.
Way too recently.
So I don't know.
It's not even like they wanted to take a break from this.
It's basically they're gonna get the title on Braun Breaker pretty quickly, I think, and then I don't know what we do because it's gonna be youth.
If Braun Breaker is the NXT champion, I will quit because I literally don't care if Pete Dunne wins the title because then I'd still have to watch the 2022. Damn.
Raquel Gonzalez taking
myself in a corner there.
Dakota Kai in the main event this week. So Gonzalez starts out fast
after a lot of storyline development last week.
Yes.
Correct.
Hard Irish whips and corner attacks from Gonzalez early. Kai keeps trying to get away, but Gonz keeps following her out to the floor. She runs Dakota Kai into the barricade, rolls her back in the ring. Press slam onto the apron by Gonzalez. Gonzalez then stays in control for a while, applies her over-the-shoulder backbreaker before running Kai into the corner. Kai avoids a corner spear. Gonzalez runs into the post, and that sort of turns the tide in the match. We get a running boot after a drop toe hold into the ropes by Dakota Kai. Then they both go up top, sort of take a little bit to set up there. Gonzalez falls chest first onto the top turnbuckle as Kai sort of falls down to the floor. And then a little bit later, we get a tree slam by Gonzalez to shift the momentum. Boots and strikes by Gonzalez. Kai then, as she's being pulled out of the corner, rips off the bottom turnbuckle pad as Gonzalez hits a fall-away slam and that, I don't know, I call it the Vader bomb elbow drop out of the corner.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The move that killed Xia Li.
Right. Roll-up attempts by Dakota Kai, but Gonzalez throws Kai as she's trying to hit or apply a stretch muffler. Gonzalez gets sent into an exposed turnbuckle, and Kai goes out and gets the shovel instead of trying to capitalize legally on Gonzalez running into the exposed turnbuckle.
GTK, corner boot, chiropractor, anything.
Not great psychology, I don't think. We get a boot to the gut, and Gonzalez has the shovel now. She advances on Dakota Kai, but Toxic Attraction, because we can't have a finish in the main event at all, so Toxic Attraction attacked Gonzalez and beat her down.
Do you know how long this was?
No, I don't. Actually, Cora Jade comes down to make the save with her skateboard. To make
everything worse.
But she gets taken out by a Mandy Rose clothesline. So Zoe
board,
Stark
right?
comes out on crutches. Io follows, takes one of the crutches, and she uses it to take out the heels. Cora Jade DDTs somebody onto her skateboard. At this point, I wasn't...
JC Jane, I'm pretty sure. I'm so sad that I remembered that.
And the faces clear the ring and stand tall as Io yells, "War Games."
Which... I was going to say it should be William Regal, but where the hell has he been?
He's gone, I think. I don't know.
Literally, I think he's dead.
What'd you think of the main event?
I honestly think he's dead.
Everyone else just makes their own matches now. It's fine.
Right. That's true.
It's a self-cleaning oven.
This is okay, but these two are capable of so much better. The DQ finish was lame and stupid, and so was the aftermath. The announcement of the War Games match was neither interesting or surprising. This was one of the only potentially good things here, and they ruined this too with the finish. I'm so sad Dakota Kai will have a team of Toxic Attraction that is legitimately depressing. And I don't care about this.
So I thought Gonzalez right off the bat did seem extra aggressive. She did a good job of portraying that, considering the story they're trying to tell between her and Kai. So I thought that was good, and they were kind of on their way to what would probably be a pretty good match. And then we get an annoying non-finish to set up a War Games match that honestly could be an absolute disaster. And
right, and I think that's partially evident in that ladder match from Halloween Havoc. Like, some of these people are super inexperienced. I mean, luckily this time you'll have, like, Kai, Gonzalez, and Shirai in there. But, like, if some of these people aren't even experienced enough to put on a decent ladder match, why the hell would you put them in War Games?
JC Jane can't jump through the ropes to hit moves without seriously, like, almost looking like... There's been two. One, she looked like she really, really could have hurt herself.
Yeah, the suicide
And
dive.
the other one was just more embarrassing when she was coming into the ring to hit something.
Yeah.
So I'm not even trying to be exaggerate or hyperbolic. I'm not sure if it's responsible of NXT to put some of these wrestlers in a War Games match. Like...
Especially, like, and not to even be whatever, but I feel like in these kinds of matches, the women are even more experienced than the men, just because I feel like, for whatever, like, they just don't have as much experience in these kinds of matches. For whatever reason, I'm just saying, like, that seems to be the case.
Yes. So I think this could be, like, a dangerous... Obviously, Io and Kai are going to have to take a ton, and I don't think it's worth it for them. At this point, Io Shirai's got to look around and go, am I going to be doing a moonsault off the top with a garbage can on my head?
Right.
Remember that? Like,
or that was... Not a moonsault, but I don't know.
Whatever it was. She shouldn't be doing this for this product right now, because she's not going to be a focus anymore.
And if if they don't properly catch her for whatever thing she's doing, like, she's... like... then she's dead.
Yep. So a non-finish of the only match that was somewhat interesting on this show. So that leads us to talking about your overall thoughts in a letter grade. Go ahead.
Another crappy show. I will only watch next week because of the North American title match, and then hopefully never again. There was nothing redeeming here. I will definitely give it an F.
F, nice. Yet I described it as borderline unwatchable.
I would also describe it as barf.
Yet another borderline unwatchable episode of this show. They don't entertain me in the slightest. If anything, it makes me angry. There's always a couple segments and things that I just get angry about. The new stars aren't interesting. Again,
and they're not good.
Not mostly blaming the stars themselves. It's what they're being given and the time they're being given. They're just being set up to fail, in my opinion. The veterans are being made to look like jokes as the weeks go past here. They're kind of tearing down any established star except for maybe Ciampa. and making them all, and maybe done at this point so
he's
far.
probably the last veteran I want to see, like, not, like, he's probably one of the less interesting veterans. Like, I was kind of disappointed when he won the title, not just because of Dunn, but just because, like, he feels like kind of a boring option, in my opinion.
I feel like
he hasn't been interesting in years.
I feel like main roster WWE's disrespect and disregard of tag teams is seeping in here, right? It's kind of there. It seems like the focus is
Which didn't used to be the case at all.
This was the one place in WWE where tag team wrestling actually happened. But now it feels like Vince and his right-hand people are like, tag team wrestling's a joke, so make them all a joke.
Right, I feel like the two peak runs are probably 2016. When there was, like, American Alpha Rival DIY, and then another peak run was when Undisputed Era were tag champions, honestly. Like, remember they had that match with Birch and Lorcan, they had faced Mustache Mountain.
Even AOP looked really, as a monster tag team, were solid.
Right, and, like, I don't know, I think there were a couple peak years of tag teams in NXT, but generally they've done a really good job. Even, like, odd couple tag team, like the Broserweights, that was a good team, and I'm sad that didn't last too long. And, like, I don't know, speaking of the Broserweights, is Timothy Thatcher dead?
I don't know.
I just remember that, like, he's not released, is he?
I hope he is, for his sake. It's weird to say that, because I'm always the guy, I don't want anyone to lose their job, but
because wasn't he part of a champ? How did I not notice that? Where the hell has Timothy Thatcher been?
I don't know.
Wow.
Anyways, the matches are 3 minutes long, or they don't have a clean finish on this episode. I'm going to be slightly nicer and give it a D-. Like, this barely passed. Pretty much borderline failure show for me as well. Was there my question to you, was there a highlight on this show other than the two fans giving the Undisputed Era hand gesture?
That was the highlight.
Was there a highlight? Like, if someone said, what's one thing that was cool? I'll say the power bomb through the poker table. Looks cool.
I won't even say that, because that just does not
Another
matter.
Pretty gross episode of NXT. But that will bring us away from NXT and into some trivia, where I will quiz Jack on a topic of my choosing in a segment we like to call Off the Top of His Head. So I went with some timely trivia this week. We're going with Survivor Series trivia. I consider this to be pretty challenging.
The best pay-per-view of all time.
I find this pretty challenging. I'm wondering if you will, because I don't know many of these.
You find many things challenging.
So let's start out in 1988. So that Survivor Series marked the first time a double turn ever happened during a WWF pay-per-view, which is still a rare occurrence to this day. Who was involved in the double turn? I can give you a hint if you want.
Sure.
It involves tag teams.
Heart Foundation?
Two kind of similar tag teams, if you will.
British Bulldogs?
No. I'll give you the manager involved is Mr. Fuji.
Okay. Demolition?
And?
Ooh.
So basically, Damn. Mr. Fuji screwed over Demolition.
Oh, Powers of Pain?
That's correct. So then he ended up, in that moment, Powers of Pain sort of sided with him, right? Before he made his debut at the 1990 Survivor Series, The Undertaker was originally billed under a slightly different name.
Kane the Undertaker?
Kane the Undertaker. Very good. I think I'd heard of that, but forgotten it.
I don't know where I've heard that, but I have.
In what year did the first singles match occur at Survivor Series, and who was in the match?
91.
91 is correct.
What?
I don't know why you know that.
I don't. Oh, Undertaker vs. Hulk Hogan.
It's correct. Wow, that's impressive.
I just saw it on TV too.
Nice.
With the worst tombstone. I don't know why. I kind of guessed the year. I figured it'd be around there, and then.
Nice work.
As soon as I knew it was that year, I knew it.
You knew the match, right? Who is the only wrestler to survive a traditional tag team elimination match in each of his first 3 Survivor Series shows? He is also the only one to go undefeated at the event in the 1980s.
Under the Gate.
Sorry?
Under the Gate.
What does that mean?
Under the Gate.
I don't even know what you're saying.
Andre the Giant.
No.
Under the Gate.
No.
Remember Goldberg's with the knockoff t-shirt?
Oh, right. No,
Under the Gate.
It is not him. Right era, obviously. And it's not Hogan, who's always the answer to everything
Warrior?
in that area. Nope. One of my favorites of all time.
Mr. Perfect.
No.
Damn. Savage.
Correct. Macho Man Randy Savage. In 1990, WWE tried something at Survivor Series that they would never do again, involving the survivors of the night's matches. What did they try? Do you remember?
Dance Party with the Gobbledygooker?
No.
Oh.
So basically, in 90, everybody that was a survivor of their matches, they did something.
Battle Royal?
Close.
Uh,
So you don't know, obviously. So there were 3 baby faces, 5 heels, survivors. They put them in
another Survivor Series match?
a handicap grand finale bonus match to determine the ultimate survivor.
Yeah, that's dumb.
Yep. Who is the only quote-unquote celebrity to appear in a traditional Survivor Series match? And the hint is it was in 1989. Think of...
Zeus.
Correct. I was going to say think of a popular film involving wrestling, but that is correct. He was quickly disqualified for refusing to let go of Hulk Hogan's neck and then attacking the referee because Zeus was beyond awful in the ring, so they had to get him out of there as quickly as possible. Who battled for the WWF Championship in the main event of the 1992 Survivor Series? And I have a hint if you need it.
Bret Hart.
And?
Ric Flair.
No.
No? Oh.
Bret Hart and?
Shawn Michaels.
Correct. I was going to say the hint was...
because I knew he won it from Ric Flair, and I saw on TV too, because I think Michaels was Intercontinental Champion.
Right.
He won that, and he already had a shot at the WWE title.
Mm-hmm.
So the start of a very friendly rivalry.
May come up again later. There was an unusual championship match at the 1993 Survivor Series. What titles were on the line for this match? As a bonus, who was involved in it?
Intercontinental?
No.
Tag team?
It was tag team title match, but for weird championships, which titles were on the line?
NWA tag titles or
And
something?
who was in the match?
Oh, wait, what? Really?
Not quite NWA, but you're close.
WCW? Or, I don't know.
Even more obscure. Who were the...
I don't know.
So it was the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Championships.
Damn it. Oh, I knew that.
Do you know who was in it?
No.
Heavenly Bodies and the Rock and Roll
I
Express.
should know that, because I've heard that before. I
told you, this one,
knew that.
I feel like this one's hard. Only one Survivor Series has ever taken place outside of the U.S. What year was that? And my hint is think.
2016.
Sorry?
2016.
No.
What?
No. My hint is think. You know this.
Did you say outside the U.S.?
Correct.
That one was outside
Sorry,
the
only
US.
one. It might have been before that.
Oh.
They might this.
That one was outside the U.S. That was in Toronto.
Right, but think. It was a historic one.
Oh, right.
So then the first
97.
one we'll say. Correct, 97. Yeah. Sorry, I should have changed that to first because there's been one since wherever I got that question from. Which 3 championships are the only ones to be fought? This is hard. Should have saved it for the last one. The only championships to be fought for, but never change hands at Survivor Series. 2 of the 3 no longer exist. That's your hint.
European title?
Correct. Is 1.
Hardcore title?
It has never been on the card, so you're close, but no.
Okay. Let me think.
So one more that doesn't exist.
Heavyweight title?
Nope. One from a defunct federation.
WCW title?
No. Close. Same time period.
ECW title?
Correct. And then one title that still exists today, I believe.
Tag titles?
Nope.
Intercontinental title?
Lower.
Cruiserweight title?
Higher. In my opinion.
U.S. title?
Correct. You got there. There have been 2 Survivor Series shows that didn't feature a single traditional elimination tag match, which is funny. Can you name the years?
Ooh, okay. Let me think.
Okay, hint. 1, they were too busy hosting a tournament.
Oh, so 98.
Which was? Like, what was the tournament they were doing?
The Deadly Game.
Correct.
For the WWE title.
And the other, they had a whole bunch of other elimination matches, but not traditional Survivor Series. And it...
2002?
Correct. So what was going on in that one?
I know there's an Elimination Chamber match.
That was the first one ever.
Because I think we watched this too.
Yeah.
There's that 3-way tag between the SmackDown 6.
I think there was a couple tag team elimination matches.
There was like a tables match or something.
And
remember?
the first chamber match.
Right, there's like some sort of tables match. Because I remember the Dudleys reunited or whatever.
Very good. I did not think you'd get that one. It was a bad night for the defending champions at Survivor Series 2002. How many titles changed hands? It was, in fact, the most in Survivor Series history.
Okay, so I know the World Heavyweight title changed hands.
Okay, there's one.
I know the tag titles changed hands.
2.
SmackDown tag ones. WWE title also changed hands.
3.
Um...
You're right so far. But that's not all, I'll give you that much.
I think the women's title changed hands, did it?
Could be.
I don't 4?
5.
5.
At least you remembered specifically some of them.
Yeah.
What Survivor Series match ended with no survivors, and can you explain how that happened?
Oh, yes. Wait, no. Never mind.
What were you thinking?
Still had a sole survivor. So I think it was like 91 or something.
Nope.
Right. Which was, they just all got counted out except for Flair.
Nope, this one had no survivors.
Right.
Somehow. I'll tell you, if you want a hint of the year.
Sure.
96. Does that help? Doesn't sound like it.
No, I don't know.
Okay, so Farouk, Vader, Razor Ramon, and Diesel fought Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Flash Funk, Savio Vega, and Yokozuna
What is the roster?
to a no contest. After the eliminations of Vega and Ramon, all the remaining participants were disqualified when they refused to stop brawling.
That's such a weird roster, too. Why is Snuka there? That's so weird.
Who is the least successful performer in traditional elimination tag matches? So it's obviously going to be someone that's been around forever.
Triple H.
No. Right
Shawn
era.
Michaels.
Nope. Think bigger, stature-wise.
Undertaker.
Very close.
Kane.
Correct.
Hat loser.
He's been defeated in all 7. Jim the Anvil Neidhart and JBL have lost 6. Who is the only... I like this one. Who is the only performer to be eliminated from Survivor Series matches under 4 different names? And what were they?
Godfather?
No. That's a good guess, though. He's had lots of gimmicks. This guy was a main eventer at one point. Nope.
Okay.
He was a champion. He is a jerk.
Okay.
And a bully.
JBL.
Correct. So what were the names?
Blackjack Bradshaw.
Correct.
Justin Hawk Bradshaw.
Correct.
Bradshaw.
Correct.
JBL.
Correct. Yes. Who competed in the only women's singles match at Survivor Series in the 90s? The entire decade, we got one.
Alundra Blaze.
No.
Really?
Close to that. She was, I think, the champion just before this.
Bull Nakano.
No. One who is now married to a big name in WWE
Sable.
And can't wrestle. Sable versus
Jacqueline.
Correct. Very good. Who is the only performer to win an elimination tag match in at least 3 different decades?
Shawn Michaels.
These are hard, right? No. Think bigger.
Randy Orton.
No. Bigger. Stature-wise.
Undertaker.
Bigger.
Big Show.
Correct.
What? That's dumb.
1999, he survived 4-1.
And then he won the WWE title later in the night.
Yeah, something. Anyways, there's a whole bunch. So which WWE character debuted on the same Survivor Series, because I've shortened it to SS in my questions, as The Undertaker?
Gobbledygooker?
Yes.
Obviously.
My hint was he was much less successful, which is like the greatest understatement ever. Undertaker's one of the greatest things they've ever had, and Gobbledygooker is one of the worst.
Gobbledygooker was awesome, okay? They should have done more with him.
Last question. I don't know how hard it is. I usually like to stump you, but I just stopped here because I think it was hard the way it's phrased. In 2020, when Vincent Kennedy McMahon came out to honor The Undertaker for his 30 years of Survivor Series, what did Vince say that he hasn't said in 18 years?
You suck, Undertaker.
No. Like some phrase, or it's hard to even explain because without giving it away.
I don't know.
But he used a term.
Why do I know that?
Think about. Okay, so what letters did he use that he hadn't used in 18 years?
WWF.
Correct, right? I didn't know how to say, like, because it's not a phrase, and if I said, like, what initials, that would give it away, right? So he actually said WWF after 18 years of not saying it, so. Good.
I saw there was, like, the you know when Raw goes old school?
Yeah.
They did that. I saw one from 2010 that was just on the channel, and they were able to use a WWF logo for some reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you did okay on that one. I thought that was a pretty difficult one, but I'd like to challenge you every now and then. That's going to bring us back to talking about some more wrestling, as we're going to look at a show that we actually enjoy watching, which is AEW Dynamite.
And we start the show with, oddly enough, just a quick backstage promo from the Elite. Just Omega.
In a stairwell, I think, right?
Yeah.
Because the sound quality was brutal.
I think Omega, Bucks, and maybe
Cutler?
Cole. Oh yeah, Cutler's filming, I think, is the implication.
I thought in the first one, yeah, I think you're right.
He's
Around.
the BTE cameraman.
That's right.
Basically, Omega says he hasn't rewatched the Full Gear match, but he's already been asked about a rematch. He says he lost, and they lost that night. He says he's disgusted, but not because of Hangman winning, he actually kind of congratulates Hangman.
Right.
Which I found interesting. He says he needs to make changes away from AEW, and he asked the Bucks to hold down the fort. I thought it was pretty solid. I thought it was kind of interesting because Omega's like, I don't know if he's just like out of character. He's at least been quite humbled.
That's
like,
what I said. I like that he's a
least...
changed man since losing the title, right?
Or like, even if he isn't, he's just at least like been Paige humbled him, really,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
So, whether this is like, he was very modest here. He didn't insult Hangman or make excuses. So whether this is just him like actually changing his character, or like he's just kind of like, this is just a way to get him some downtime.
Yes, I feel like maybe it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a hiatus. Maybe he's wrestling somewhere else, but I heard he's dealing with like shoulder issues, a lot of injury issues and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is in hiatus, which he really does deserve more than anyone. So but if he did end up in like New Japan or something, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought part of this too that was interesting, right, was when he says like Cole steps up to say he'll hold things down while Omega's away, and Omega corrects him and says, "I was talking to the Bucks." So I thought that was interesting, right? That was a little bit of...
Yeah, I do think that might be a crack in the Elite thing,
right.
But I also think it's like, I don't know, for me, it's also like the Bucks are technically EVPs and Cole is not.
Yes, but you have to be aware that that's going to come across as rude to Cole, right? To just cut him off and be like, I wasn't talking to you, kind of thing.
I also think it came off as rude, because it should be Cole. He would do a good job of it.
So I liked it, even though it was really quick. Like, I agree. I like that Omega seems a bit changed, right? There's definitely not that confidence and swagger that he's had for months.
Like, how long the change goes, but...
And you wonder if it's even like, and I may be reading too much into it, has he started to doubt himself, and now Paige... And he and Paige are basically switching roles, because now Paige has that confidence, right? And Omega kind of doesn't. So, and I agree, he deserves a break. And I kind of am curious about that little interaction with Cole to see, because that's something AEW is good at, coming back to those moments later.
And so now with that and the recent addition of Bobby Fish and the match on Rampage, my dream is that like maybe this starts the tension between Omega and Cole, and then maybe like with. And then, like, O'Reilly's not in NXT for too long. He comes in, they reformed a version of Undisputed Era. And with how the Bucks kind of acted at the end of the Full Gear main event, with Omega at least acting different here, maybe the Elite go back to the baby faces. Right. And then they feud with the Undisputed Era, or whatever they would be called. Right. I think that would be a very pleasant faction
feud. There's some possibilities. And it's not like...
And it's not like a huge faction feud, like the Pinnacle and... Because that's like a big 5-on-5 thing. This would just be like some cool trios matches, singles matches, tag matches, and whatnot.
And it's not like WWE, where if they tease this Cole Omega thing, it would be like in full swing next week, probably done in 2 weeks.
Or completely inadvertent.
Right? So AEW could wait for months and come back to this as this being the first little thing. Like they seem to be doing with... I think
the first step would be waiting out O'Reilly, perhaps.
It kind of feels like they're doing with Wardlow and MJF, right? Where there's just every few weeks or months, there's like a tiny little nugget of tension there.
Because most of the time MJF and Wardlow are perfectly fine.
Yeah,
right?
But then there's the odd little MJF's a little bit whatever to him, and Wardlow gives him a look or whatever, right?
Or so like the one time Wardlow kind of let him get beat on for a bit, but then like was like, I'll go save him.
So I thought an interesting start to the show, but I liked the segment.
I liked it. Yeah, there's a lot of ways this can go. I think so. That's always cool.
Right, and they give you stuff to think about, right? Which is cool.
There's a lot of possibilities.
Yep.
Next we get the Hangman Page celebration. John Silver says National Cowboy Stuff Day.
Yeah.
And he introduces Hangman Page. Nice reaction, and a lot of you deserve a chance, and then Hangman stops and says he earned it, which
my
is
note
almost the same thing.
Deserved it and earned it aren't opposites, Hangman, but I get what you're trying to say, right? Because I think the crowd would argue we're saying you deserved it because you earned it, right? So him making that distinction.
And he earned it because he deserves it.
So making that distinction didn't really make sense to me, but you get what he's trying to say.
Yeah. He says he's usually more reserved, but now he's the champ, so he'll do whatever he wants. He says he's still just a man with a job with the boss, which is the fans, and he says he would love to celebrate National Cowboy Stuff Day. He says he knows the title carries a lot of responsibility. He knows that the first is Bryan Danielson, who takes that as his cue to come out, like, almost immediately.
Yep.
I will say I'm less opposed to his theme.
It suits
the more you can hear it.
Yeah.
Brian says he came out to say one thing. He congratulates Hangman. He says he's super excited to face Hangman for the title, but a little disappointed it isn't Kenny. And then,
Ooh,
which
shots
I
fired.
thought that was a nice shot
me
at him.
too.
But then Hangman came back with a nice one, saying that it isn't Kenny because he beat him and he did it in less than 30 minutes.
Nice.
Which I thought was a sick burn.
Because Brian went to a draw with
Right.
in 30 minutes with Omega.
Brian says he didn't come to start beef and he came to kick ass. He says cowboy crap doesn't involve wrestling because he wrestles every week while Hangman flaps his gums, which,
Ooh.
I mean, I guess I know what he's saying because he hasn't really been wrestling, but
No.
I also don't think he's, like, necessarily, like...
No, but through Brian's newly found heel logic, right? He's wrestling every week and Paige is not. So I think that's all he's saying.
Mm-hmm. He says he wrestled the next night after he won the title at WrestleMania.
Right.
Ooh, he said WrestleMania.
Officially reference, yep.
And obviously Virginia boos hard work as he is getting booed, which I find really odd.
It was
Like,
interesting.
unless
here.
he goes full in on heel, I've never really seen him get booed. Like, only eco-friendly Dana Bryan, right?
That's right. Yep.
Hangman suggests they do it right now. Bryan says Hangman has a lot of excuses for why he wasn't ready, and he doesn't want to beat Hangman and him make excuses. Dark Order keep Hangman and Bryan apart, and Bryan says, of course the Dark Order would stop it because Hangman doesn't actually want to fight him right now. As a crowd chants let them fight, Bryan says the Dark Order wouldn't let him because they know he would kick Hangman's ass.
Yeah. So that I like the callback to the fans being the boss, which is just a major babyface thing to say, right? The crowd loves Hangman for sure. I like the shots fired between Bryan and Paige. I thought they were awesome. And Danielson embracing this heel role or tweener role, or I don't know what it is yet.
It's
but
just the newfound aggression,
I thought he did a great job with it. So I'm wondering if it's just for this match or is this his new
nice.
persona going forward. So I thought a great segment. And they built the title match between these two in like a few minutes, right? Like this makes me more interested because I now have a clear dynamic.
This is already an appealing match, just without anything.
And then Bryan going a little more heel actually helps for me.
Absolutely, because Paige is obviously the clear babyface.
And they also made the Uno Bryan match that's coming up next a little bit more interesting too, because Bryan is now kind of working as a heel. So, I mean, if I'm going to nitpick anything here, I like this segment, but why are the Dark Order stopping Paige from attacking?
I guess because maybe they don't want to...
Like, I don't know.
Maybe they just
right?
don't want
Like,
violence.
that's my only thing is, like, why?
They just
why?
don't want violence, I guess. Or,
I
like, I don't know,
They're
unnecessary
peaceful
violence.
people in a wrestling company.
I don't know, unnecessary
Right to
violence.
censor?
Joe Gacy?
Right. But anyways, yeah, good segment.
Yeah, I thought it was a great way to start the show. Didn't involve too much of just Hangman. But that's okay, I guess. I like Bryan coming out. He really descended into a heel almost as the segment went on, and it was very interesting and also surprising because the second he made a comment against Hangman, he got booed a ton, which isn't typical of him.
Instant heat.
And I guess that is also a testament to Hangman's popularity,
You're
which
right.
that's a good sign.
It is.
Bryan was super interesting here, and I don't mind this aggressive side because it can bolster his feuds against babyface stars.
Exactly.
Because I feel like the clean-cut wrestler persona he's adopted also, it lends itself to either side, and I think this kind of helps him against baby faces because then it's not just kind of a bland.
You're right, because that's
thing.
the only thing for me that heading into this Paige Danielson match, right, is that it should be amazing, but it's babyface, and that's not ideal. So they are quickly establishing no, it's not, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. This already adds more intrigue to the storyline of the match, even though I was already looking forward to it. I'm not sure what this means for Bryan's character in terms of face, heel, or tweener in the future, but definitely makes it more interesting.
Yep.
And we lead right into Bryan Danielson versus Evil Uno for the opener, in an entertaining back and forth enhancement match that did showcase a newer side of Bryan Danielson.
It did.
Which I feel like it's so weird. Like he's been heel a bunch of times. Like he started out in WWE like as heel. I mean he started as a babyface, but the large part of his early WWE run was heel, and then he became like a mega babyface. I think that's also why it's so weird to me, because no matter how many times he's done like a heel character every now and then, he's always been the mega babyface.
Yeah, and he's a fantastic babyface too.
Right, so it's a little interesting, but I do like to see it, 'cause he's honestly great at both.
Yep.
So the notables for the match, early on we do see double leg takedown and a brief half crab by Bryan, but Uno is able to get a quick rope break. A shoulder tackle by Uno, and he counters a leapfrog by Bryan with an inverted atomic drop. More back and forth wrestling, and Bryan slaps Uno after taking a chop. Chest kicks by Bryan, and then corner strikes followed by a front chancery suplex, basically like a suplex, but without hooking Uno's arm around his neck. So I feel like that would require like a little more.
It would
strength.
apply some more pressure too, right?
Right.
Maybe a little more painful.
Yeah. Bryan gets booed as he's gesturing to the crowd. Uno fights back and delivers knife edge chops to Bryan. Bryan pushes Uno into the corner, and he hits repeated kicks to the back while the crowd chants no instead of yes. So, another
the crowd's on board.
Differentiation.
Yep.
I don't know if that's just them, like, actually hating him or, like, they're just going along. Either way, I like it. Yep. It works. Bryan face palms Uno twice, just, like, kind of like putting his hand on his face and shoving, not necessarily a slap or anything.
Very heelish.
And Uno unleashes strikes to back Bryan to the corner, and he continues the attack. Running step up hurricane run by Uno, and then a neck breaker for 2. A pair boosts to the side of the face, and a slap by Uno, and Bryan retaliates with a discus forearm, which kind of knocks him back. I think he knocked him down.
Yeah.
Repeated slaps in the corner by Bryan. Running corner drop kicks by Bryan, but the third is cut off by a nice running boot by Uno. Uno looks for a senton atomico from the top rope, but Bryan gets the knees up and falls with a signature running shotgun knee strike, and falls with that. He follows that with the wrist traps. Repeated face stomps, like just stomps him while holding his arms. And then after stomps, he transitions into a triangle choke, which gets an immediate submission. And then post-match, we get a quick interview of Tony Schiavone talking to Bryan Danielson. Bryan says he came out here to congratulate Hangman because of Hangman's behavior. He ended up kicking Uno's head in. Bryan says he'll kick everyone in the Dark Order's head in until he faces Hangman. He says they're in Chicago next week, and he hears there's some Dark Order member from Chicago, and if Colt Cabana has any nuts, he'll kick his head in next week.
Nice. Yeah, I enjoyed the match. It was pretty quick. Like, I think it was 6 minutes or something like that. But Bryan looked even more vicious now that he's kind of...
Short matches are good when it makes sense.
Yeah. And it fully embraces what appears to be a heel turn, but I guess we'll see. I thought Uno performed well, as he always does. But Danielson needed to look dominant here, right? And the finishing sequence, I thought, did that for him. And it's funny because I had written my notes. I put, Danielson could continue to destroy Dark Order members until he gets to Page, and I'd watch it, and then... That was Danielson's very next sentence. Like, I typed the sentence before he said it.
Right, there's so many awesome matches in that series alone. Like, when he gets to face Grayson or John Silver, oh, man.
And
even Alex Reynolds,
and it's smart because Danielson is like, I wrestle every week all the time, so he can keep doing that.
And this adds into the storyline. I mean, I don't know if he'll face everyone because we have, like...
There's a lot.
Less than a month until Winter's Coming, which is when I assume the title match will be, because that's the next special show. But I really hope he gets to face at least Grayson and Silver, and like the Dark Order, I think generally has a pretty nice roster within their faction. So Bryan's got some good options.
And neither of those guys need to win, but it would be awesome matches, and it's a smart way for Danielson to carry on the I work every week gimmick.
And give us some entertaining television.
Yep. And then we get to what should be an awesome match with now a clear heel-face dynamic. So I thought it was all very smart.
Mm-hmm. I thought this was a great little match. Uno's never going to win or really hang with Bryan for long, but he looked good in what he was able to get, and he got in a good flurry. It made sense. I didn't expect this to last long. I think the time that this got was right.
I think so too.
Bryan looked great here too, leaning into his heelish side a bit more and showing even more aggression than we have gotten to see recently, because I feel like he's had a little bit even since coming to AEW, so I think now it's even ramped up further. The post-match promo was cool and gets to set up a fun string of matches for Bryan. Like I said, I would love to see him face Grayson and Silver. Those are probably the two best Dark Order members not named Hangman Page, if he even
officially counts, yeah.
And who knew Bryan versus Hangman would turn into this? I don't know what I'm seeing from Bryan Danielson, but I like it. I haven't seen him as a heel before. I have seen him as a heel before as eco-friendly Daniel Bryan, but this is very different. So it still feels really weird. Like I said, he's always been the mega babyface, so it's always a little weird when he is not. Next we get an MJF promo, which was from Full Gear, like after his match with Darby, just they didn't show.
Right, so, in the locker room, he's looking all beat up, kind of.
This took place Full Gear, but
Darby's paint's all over his body from the match,
He says he isn't covered in paint, but he is covered in shame. He says he can't stop hearing about all the professional wrestlers from Full Gear, but he made them all look like idiots because he proved he was better than just the best on the mic. He says he loved every second of it because while they hated his guts, they had to admit how good he is, and he beat Darby with a headlock takeover, and he is excited to go to Virginia to see what the future holds for the greatest future star of AEW, which is this one, because this one's in Virginia. And he says he is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he is better than you, and you'll have no choice but to admit it.
Yeah, I thought this was another great promo from MJF.
Catchphrase variation.
He's speaking the truth here, right? Like, a lot of people, including me to a certain degree, would be like, he's amazing on the mic, but he's not as good. I never thought he was bad in the ring, but that is a critique that, he's just a guy that can talk. But that match, the opening match to Full Gear, was a phenomenal match. Like,
it was more of a showcase for him than I would have expected. 'Cause I don't know. I've always thought he was pretty good.
You can't say MJF is not a good professional wrestler and watch that match and still hold that opinion, I don't think. So
That's true.
If it were up to me, I would probably have MJF earmarked as the guy to take the title from Page, but way down the road.
Way down. Yeah, I think Hangman deserves a long run.
I
I
do
hope
too.
he's the one to break the year-long run, because I don't think any men's champion has done that yet. Because I know Jericho certainly didn't, because I think he's the shortest reigning AEW world champ. And Moxley was, like, he was from, like, February to like December 2020,
Yeah.
and then Omega was just short of a year, actually. So
I would be totally fine if MJF's the guy they keep building to get to that.
he's at least as it stands now. I don't know what signings they'll make, what stars will
Right.
emerge, but as it stands now, he's definitely, like, I would say the best candidate to be.
And you
Hangman.
just have a beloved babyface with the most hated heel,
and they do have
cool.
history too. Like, he's even mentioned that he beat Hangman for the Diamond Ring, even way back. I think they had interactions in the first Casino Battle Royal and stuff like that. So, like, they have, like, they don't. I wouldn't say they have, like, a lot of history, but they at least have something there, which is all AEW really needs.
Exactly, they can use it.
Right. I thought it was another superb promo from MJF. I thought he had some good points from heel logic point of view. I like the twist on his ending catchphrase.
Yep.
I thought that was really cool. And then next we get a quick interview from Eddie Kingston, or with Eddie Kingston, I mean. And 2.0 quickly interrupt, and Matt Lee asks if Kingston is going to complain again. Parker says, of course he will, and Kingston didn't last as long as their son Garcia did
Weird.
with Punk, which I thought was kind of funny. Kingston tells him to shut up, and he says Garcia letting 2.0 call him their son, and he doesn't respect him for that.
Yes.
Which I thought was kind of funny. He says he knows where Garcia is from and they can fight anytime, and 2.0 separate them as it gets more heated, and Kingston asks how hard it is to get uninterrupted promo time, and he's going to catering.
So I don't know if this was on purpose or not, but I found it interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. The fact that Eddie Kingston got his interview interrupted and got mad and complained about it, but when it was CM Punk that he interrupted, he kind of mocked Punk for, oh, God forbid someone interrupt your interview, right? So I don't know if that's intentional.
I think it may be like, or
I
like,
might be nitpicking a bit, but
maybe it's because he thinks like Punk is such a big shot or something, and
Right.
like I don't know, like maybe it applies different for Punk because Punk's like, maybe it's because like Punk's always getting like he gets like weekly TV time
Yes,
pretty much,
he
right?
does.
He's always getting
And
like
just to talk
long
sometimes.
segments, right? So maybe it's like, so I could see that applying differently for Punk and Kingston, but I see what you mean.
So regardless, Kingston's magic. Anytime he gets to speak, I look forward to him facing Garcia.
Which, as we talked about in news, that's next week's Rampage.
And I imagine this is a match where Kingston gets a win to sort of get back on track because he doesn't win a whole bunch. Not that he needs
And Garcia doesn't really need a win here. Like
Not yet.
I like him as the guy who can hang with some of the big guys, but doesn't really.
And until
win.
they start to focus on him a bit more, I think that's the role he's in. I liked Garcia pointing out that he lasted longer in his match with Punk. I thought that was a clever route to go. And that should be something that would get under Kingston's skin, right? With the bad mood he's already in. So I thought this was good.
That's kind of odd the more you think about it. So you would think Kingston would last longer.
But I think the way they built to the match too was that Punk and Kingston, this was just a fight and they wanted to kill each other. And sometimes that ends quickly, right?
Yeah, that I guess, yeah, it could be different. But yeah, I thought this was nice. Another great segment involving Eddie Kingston, simple to the point, and it was great. Sets up an interesting match. I like how he's just like pissed off because he can't really catch a break. He can't just talk.
Right.
How he wants to talk, he has to get interrupted by somebody.
That's right.
Next we get Butcher and Blade versus Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii, which is probably the weirdest team that I have ever seen.
And Ishii's one of my favorites from Japan. I love Tomo Ishii.
Yeah, and when they were entering, I realized he was wearing the Never Openweight title.
That's right.
Which means he took the title from my boy.
That's right.
Jay White, which is very offensive. And apparently he's held that title 6 times.
Yeah.
So he clearly did not need to take it off of him. And I noticed he looked older here, so he definitely didn't need to take it off of him.
Because Jay White's coming to AEW, so they had to clear him out.
That's a fair point.
Maybe. Who knows?
He should. If he
could.
does, I will be very happy. And this was it was a tag team enhancement match to showcase a debuting star.
Yeah,
in Ishii,
pretty much.
Which whether he's around or not, gotta make him look good in the first appearance.
Absolutely.
So notables, forearms and a shoulder tackle by Blade, but Ishii drops him with one forearm. Lazy splash off of the ropes by Cassie for a 1 count, where he just kind of bounces off the ropes and just falls down. Cassie hits the kicks of doom to Blade and jumps over him with his hands in his pockets, followed by a drop kick. Butcher makes the blind tag and hits Cassie with a big shoulder tackle. Cassie makes the hot take to Ishii post-commercial break. And Ishii unleashes on Blade and then hits repeat corner knife edge chops and a Saito suplex for 2. Doomsday suplex?
Yeah. Give him a signature move and then fire him.
Yes. Or at least name one of his moves.
Yeah,
and then...
an existing move. Just name it after him, and then fire him.
At least it's not the crossplex or
crossplex
or something like that. Like I think the cross jackets are pretty.
TikTok-plex.
Oh, that's so bad. Why would you say that?
Because he always said TikTok.
That's so awful.
Not after the app, after his catchphrase.
No, but that's all I can think about, so that makes me sad.
Sorry.
Blade escapes a suplex and tags in Butcher. A forearm exchange between Ishii and Butcher. Corner chops by Butcher. Chops continue, but Ishii absorbs them now. And he absorbs some forearms as well. Forearm by Ishii, and he lifts Butcher onto the top turnbuckle and hits an okay superplex shortly after for 2, with Blade having to break the pin. Cassidy tags in and goes for a diving crossbody on Butcher and Blade, but gets caught. He gets out and hits Butcher with a Stung Dog Millionaire and the Tilt-A-Whirl DDT to Blade for a near fall. Butcher and Blade hit Cassie with their full death move, but Ishii breaks the pin. Ishii hits repeated elbows to Butcher and backs him into the corner with repeated chops and then forearms. A German suplex to Butcher by Ishii as Bunny distracts the ref. Romero pulls Blade out of the ring as he looks to hit Ishii with the brass knucks, and then Cassie takes out Blade and Hardy with a dive. And then Ishii hits a lariat and a brainbuster for the win.
Yeah, I'm going to nitpick again. The very beginning of this match, Ishii starts the match, hits one forearm and tags out. So I don't understand if that's what you're going to have him do. Just have him start not in the match and let the anticipation build, right, to him getting tagged in. He literally hit a strike and tagged out. But anyways, it was standard Ishii stuff, right? Like it's a lot of chops, a lot of elbows, and then some moves, high impact stuff mixed in. I thought the match was pretty good, but then there was just a few too many moving parts for me involved near the end there, which kind of took me out of it a little bit. I love Ishii, and we get to see his hard-hitting style, right? So that was good. I don't quite get the Best Friends Chaos alignment, and I don't...
It feels even weirder to me when I get to see Ishii team with Orange Cassidy.
I don't think, and AEW, I wouldn't expect this from them. I don't think they've done a good job of explaining this to us at all. They've just kind of told us this is the case.
Other than the fact that, when Romero appeared on AEW, Best Friends kind of helped him out and kind of inducted him into there, but then I don't know why they needed to be in Chaos.
And it just doesn't feel like a good fit to me. But
exactly.
I thought the match was fun enough, but nothing great, and then it just got too much stuff going on by the end for me.
Yeah, if you had to make one of those chart thingies where you had to compare
Venn diagram?
Venn diagram, that thing, yes, of Chaos and Best Friends, I'm pretty sure the two circles would be in different rooms.
There's not much in that middle portion that they share, right? Other than they are wrestlers.
Yeah, they really don't seem to have too many differences.
No.
Or similarities.
Yeah.
Damn it. I thought this was fine. It was cool to see Ishii in action, even if it was weird that he was teaming with Orange Cassidy. And I noticed that he took the never open weight title off of my boy Jay White, but he looked pretty good here. I noticed he had some gray facial hair though, he looked much older, and which I didn't seem to notice a couple years ago at least or something.
No, you gotta go gray some point, right?
Yeah.
Could happen overnight.
Yeah. This is fine and exactly what you would expect. Next again, FTR and Andrade interview. Andrade says to Cody and Pac he is a better wrestler than both of them because he beat both of them and he will show them his bad side. I think that's what he said.
I have my notes too. I missed a little bit of what he said at one point. Cash
is there frustrated because the Lucha Bros pinned the wrong man and robbed them of the titles, which I think is funny considering they literally stole the other titles.
Right.
Because they
But that's heels, man. They don't see it that way.
Cash says since Cody and Pac want to stick their noses in their business, he suggests they get Malachi Black and make this an 8-man tag, and then totally threatens Arn or something. Old man fight.
Old man fight.
Yes.
Possible. So like I said, I missed a bit of what Andrade said as well, but I'm happy with the end result and the match that's coming up. So then my question is, who's getting Andrade's money, right? Because they told us before that he was paying MJF for FTR services, because I complained about that, right? Because I think it makes FTR look weak. Now FTR are referring it to it as their fee, which makes
Maybe
a
it's
lot.
like even if he is paying MJF, that's still their fee.
Yeah, but I think this was the implication that they are getting paid, which makes a lot more sense to me.
I guess maybe MJF makes a percentage.
I don't know, but anyways, I'm glad that they're not saying it. They're just the property of MJF to be rented out. It now seems like they're getting the money, which makes sense. Anyways, a brief segment.
It least makes sense for MJF to get like a percentage or something.
It served its purpose. It served its purpose, this segment. I don't think it was awesome, but it set up a match that I want to see, so that's fine.
Yeah, this is a stacked alliance. This is solid, but some of the stuff Andrade said wasn't super clear, so that's not great. Because I thought some of his promo work recently has been great, but I think this one was a bit of a miss.
I agree.
But overall, this was good. I would love to see that man tag again, other than Cody. I think the Death Triangle and Cody again, Venn diagram, they are not at all similar.
Right. I don't mind Cody in ring though.
No, I don't mind him. I just don't. I would rather someone else team with that triangle. But I think the heel squad of FTR, Andrade, and Malachi Black, that's amazing. Like the definition of a dream team, pretty much. Yep. If you put that triangle with someone else good, Pete Dunne, that would be cool. Next we get a quick Ty Conti package, which I thought was kind of random. She says even when she loses, she wins because she didn't fail against Baker, even though she did. I guess maybe morally. I don't know.
Well, I think she's talking about it like we did, right? Like she needed to come across as a contender. She needs to prove she can hang.
She needs to throw her name in the hat.
And I think this promo is just to keep her hat in the ring. Right. Keep her momentum going. Ring.
Damn it, I messed it up again.
Yep.
She says she learned and she isn't starting from scratch next time and she will be successful in her next title shot.
Yeah.
Depends on when it is, but yeah.
I thought this was a good babyface promo. She gained experience and confidence from going toe-to-toe with a dominant champion, right? So she's improved her speaking a lot too, along with Andrade. So she seems to be improving in all areas, which is all you can really ask of somebody, right? She has a strong babyface run ahead of her, I think. And I feel like she's a great fit for like the TBS title picture in the near future, with maybe designs on if she keeps getting better at the rate she has at the main title at some point. So I think they want to keep her fresh in our mind because they have plans for her, right? And I think that's fair.
Yeah, I thought this was solid. She delivered the lines well enough, but I thought the thick accent was evident here.
But it's still better than before.
Yeah, she didn't seem the most comfortable speaking here, but I thought it was fine.
Yep.
I thought it was pretty good. And it was relatively short, too, so that helps. And then we get a quick Britt Baker interview. Baker says again that she is still champion, and she is getting tired of carrying the division, and she'll direct attention to the future TBS champion, Jamie Hayter. And Tony mentions Thunder Rosa, and Baker says Hayter will make Rosa's name irrelevant next week, and she signs off with her DMD catchphrase.
Yeah, I mean, a Britt Baker promo's never going to be bad, but I don't think this was particularly strong one. It was just more generic than what I'm used to from her. And it's hard for her to feel as heelish as I want her to when she's like saying nice things about Jamie Hayter, right? She wasn't insulting anyone particularly, because I like it when she has a target and she's mean to them, like MJF, right? Like, I want them to focus their heelness on somebody, which she's not here.
Because she's good at coming up with some good insults.
So she was more like Hayter's cheerleader here, which isn't how I want Britt, but I thought it was still fine. She did a good job. I just like when she's really, really mean to people. I do like the
notion that she is like carrying the division. I think that's kind of funny.
Yes, me too.
But I thought it was solid. It was good, but didn't offer much. I don't really care about Hayter versus Thunder Rosa, but
I don't either. I want to like Jamie Hayter, but I'm just kind of like, okay.
She doesn't really do anything. I don't mind her as Baker's crony, though, because she's definitely not her equal.
That works.
Next, we get a more interesting tournament match. Hikaru Shida versus Nyla Rose in the AEW TBS Championship Tournament. I believe this is quarterfinals. I originally thought it was semifinals, but it is actually quarterfinals.
The two winningest women in AEW history. So. I think they said Shida has one more win than Nyla.
Right. At some point. These two do have quite a bit of history. They do. So Nyla Rose was, I think, one of the top 5 ranked. So she got a bye, where Shida had to overcome Serena Deeb in the initial round.
Good old Serena Deeb. She's kicking around still.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we'll see that.
Yep.
And I thought this was a nice David versus Goliath style match with an injury storyline through stemming from that deep match, actually.
Right.
So I like that carried through here.
Me too.
And it did kind of play into the finish as well. The match starts with the brawl right away, and Rose catches a running knee from Shida. Kind of like just because she's big, so she catches her and holds her.
Yeah, I like that, actually, right off the gate.
Back and forth battle in the corner until Shida takes control, and Shida hits a running corner knee and a middle rope dropkick to the knee, we think.
Oh, yeah, it was. The commentary said it was. I was like, my question was that just not a very good
Right, so I took their
kick?
word for it because I don't think I really
Yeah, we'll give her
it.
the benefit of the doubt.
Shida goes for a Falcon Arrow, but Rose counters and hits a suplex. After a scuffle on the outside, and Shida rolls back in the ring, Rose immediately hits an elbow drop and then continues the attack. Rose bends Shida's left leg around the bottom rope and pulls it for the 5 count, and afterwards she uses her leg to choke Shida over the middle for the 5 count again. After another choke against the ropes, as the ref backs Rose away, Vicky chokes Shida with the kendo stick, because she stole Shida's kendo stick.
Looked pretty weak.
Yeah.
Everything that Vicky did looked kind of weak to me in this one.
What do you mean? She's the best pure striker in the game.
Like, there was just a choke and a kendo stick shot,
She's
right?
the best pure striker in the game. Do you not remember? Have you forgotten?
Yeah, I think I have.
Ah, that's a shame. She's like, she could go toe-to-toe with the best mixed martial artist in the game.
No, probably. Or Undertaker, isn't he the best striker
yeah, he's
in
the
the
best
history
pure
of...
striker. She could go toe-to-toe with the Undertaker himself.
I would imagine.
If you ask me, Vicky Guerrero should have ended the streak.
That is a money feud.
Yeah, Vicky Guerrero should have ended the streak. More like targeting by Rose. Shida counters Rose and sends her into the barricade. Rose sees Shida on the chair she used to attempt the running knee off of, and then misses a cannonball into the chair, which I thought was a nice spot.
It looked good, yeah. Flattened that chair.
Yeah. Shida takes the kendo stick from Vicky and hits her with it, and Serena Deeb attacks the knee of Shida behind the ref's back after the commercial breaks, with Deeb getting involved here. Rose hits her diving knee drop to the back of Shida when she's draped over the top rope, which is a pretty nice move because it's kind of a double impact. She gets hit with the knee and then kind of lands on her back in the ring, so a bit of a double impact. Shida counters a beast bomb into a triangle choke, which Rose eventually counters into a one-arm powerbomb to power out, and falls to the senton onto Shida's knee, I think, which is a really effective move.
Yeah.
Especially because she's like a bigger woman, so I think that's that
was cool.
Effective move. Rose misses a diving senton, and Shida capitalizes with a jackknife pin for 2. Rose avoids, I think they call it the katana from Shida, and taps the Shida with the Brock Lock.
Right.
Brock Lock.
A stretch muffler for those
Brock
of you.
Lock.
So I thought this had one pretty boring stretch in the middle when Nyla was in control and Vicky was trying to get involved.
Yeah.
But other than that...
And as Excalibur said, the Vicious Vixens Alliance paying off.
He did actually use that name. So the senton, missed senton on the chair by Nyla looked good. Vicky's use of the kendo stick did not. I love Nyla Rose's top rope knee to hang the opponent draped over the top rope. I think it looks awesome every time. Really liked Serena Deeb's sneak attack because it's going to prolong a feud that I've been really enjoying, right? Get us another match between Shida and Deeb all day. I'd watch that.
And they are tied in their feud series.
And I like the finish of this with Rose countering into the stretch muffler to target Shida's injured knee. It just made sense. Nyla's focused attack, like slightly altering her offense to target the knee, I thought was really good. The crowd was really into this by the end, and minus the lull in the middle, I thought this was a good match.
Yeah, I liked it, actually. I thought it was another good encounter between these two. They seemed to have pretty good chemistry. This was no exception. There are some cool spots. I like that Nyla continued working on Shida's leg after what happened in the Deeb match. I even like Deeb getting involved to help cost Shida the win. I think Nyla Rose is at 50 wins now, but no plaque.
I think that's right. Well, you only get it if you're the first one, not the second one. Who cares?
That's true. Oh, right. That's true. Next we get Malachi Black promo, which is always nice. He says in Chicago, the 4 of them will haunt Cody Pack and Lucha Bros, and they will outcast them. He says he will make it so that the air they breathe will turn toxic, and they will realize what a small part they have played in the grand equation.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that equation is.
It's almost like he has some larger plan that they're a part
9 + 10 equals
of.
21.
What?
9 + 10 equals 21.
I don't know what you're talking about.
He says they will grasp for air while oxygen is still on their side, or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was a cool promo. Pretty brief.
It's really difficult to take notes on.
But I like the last line of the enjoy breathing while oxygen is on your side. I did think that was cool. But yeah, just the standard cool Malachi Black promo where you're 90% sure what he means, but 10% of you is kind of wondering if there's some other meaning to it. Which in WWE it was the reverse, right? I didn't understand 90% of what he was saying because they were just big words, big words, big words sort of thing. So I like this.
Yeah, I thought it was another great poem from him. It's so difficult to take notes on, I think, because, like, he just, like, it's a lot of philosophies and, like, or, like, he's just, like, I don't know, like, flowing. Cryptic, and he's just, like, flowing along, but it's very entertaining. I think it really works. He's really in his wheelhouse, I think.
Yep.
And I think they do a really good job of not boarding to, like, spooky nonsense.
I agree.
It's like
he's not supernatural other than the entrance where the lights go off and he shows up in a new
but
spot.
I don't mind that. That's pretty minor.
No,
That's
yeah,
been
I agree.
That's like probably the like if you're going supernatural, that's probably the least offensive thing.
It's
you
not
can
like
do.
Decay on Impact, who magically will appear in a room for a promo, right, or interrupt. So he's not doing
or
that.
Teleport other places,
right?
Like
so
a
I'm fine with how Black's.
Where you wrestle.
We'll talk about it. Don't worry, it's the highlight of your week. I know.
It is.
We'll get there.
Next we get MJF coming to the ring to speak. He's accompanied by the chairman, Shawn Spears, and Wardlow. I like for Spears to do more, I think. I like him. He's kind of underrated.
He's okay.
In my opinion. I miss Ty Dillinger, though.
He's fine.
Ty Dillinger was perfect. Some would say he was a perfect 10.
Some would say.
Spears says MJF could be any of their heroes with a headlock takeover, and MJF would appreciate science at this time, which I thought that was pretty funny.
Yep.
Because now that's going to be a thing, even because obviously heel logic going to ignore the whole Dynamite ring thing, but I mean, I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, he just won clean in that match as far as he's concerned.
No shenanigans whatsoever. MJF said he tried, and that's why Spears is a good friend. And that also brought back the accountability buddy thing, which I think is still a weird phrase.
It is a weird phrase.
He says he checks all the boxes in the ring and on the mic, and he's the most complete pro wrestler on the planet. He's up there, I would say. He's pretty complete.
I think he is.
He says he is the past, present, and future of pro wrestling. He says he could take a big cowboy crap on their hometown boys title reign, which I think is potential. I don't think it'll be
I like that they're mentioning, putting it out there, right?
Yeah, that's the start. I'll take that. And I think that's good because I don't think it needs to. And maybe they go with the Conti method. They throw his name in the hat. Even though we all know he's worthy, like, I would even just like that as, like, a first match for them. Because I wouldn't mind, like, and even for Hangman just to get a win over him, I think that would be.
And then they could come back around to it, even if depending how long
exactly,
the reign is.
Right? Yeah, they could do that Conti route where I think they just, like, throw his hat in the ring. Hat nailed it.
First try.
Just for the first, right? Yeah. Just for once, and I wouldn't mind seeing that match more than once. He says the rankings don't tell you everything, facts, and he deserves to be the next AEW champion. That's also true, actually. For now, he says nobody in the locker room is on his level unless Jay White comes in. Then
we'll see.
Jay White.
He needs to be presented better than he was in Impact. I'll tell you that much. Which he would be.
Impact is smelly.
A little bit.
And here comes CM Punk.
I've heard of him.
MJF says his name, that is MJF's name. No, it's not like he was like, CM Punk. He offers a handshake to Punk, who walks away and leaves, so.
Yeah.
Don't know why he came out, but. Thoughts?
I thought this was a great combination of Punk and MJF, as long as Punk is willing to have MJF win, because MJF, in my opinion, needs to stay on the roll he's on right now, and Punk, he doesn't need to win every match.
And I think MJF is worthy of beating Punk as well, right? Like,
yes,
I don't think like someone like Kingston or Garcia or Hobbs needs to beat Punk, but I think MJF would be a great choice to be the first.
And Punk doesn't need to win, and Punk is supposedly, and again, I'm always skeptical of Punk because I know he knows what the right thing to say in every situation is, whether he means it or not. But he's sort of said he's at the point in his career where he wants to try and elevate other people, I think. So we'll see if he's sincere about that. And other than that, the verbal battles these two could have ahead of any sort of match could be epic, right? I like that Punk came out and said absolutely nothing here, because MJF loves to talk, and this is step one of Punk messing with him right out of the gate by not even giving him the satisfaction of responding, right? So it also builds the anticipation for when Punk does finally unload verbally on MJF, because you know that's coming, right? So I really love the way they handled this. I thought it was another really good segment that sets up an intriguing program between these two. Again, I just really need MJF to win. He doesn't have to win clean, but he needs to win, I think, in this.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was another solid promo from MJF, although a shorter one. And Punk coming out and then toying with MJF was kind of amusing, sets up an interesting match. And I think it's very interesting contrast to styles just from a character standpoint. I think those promo battles will be interesting.
Yes, I think so too. They should be amazing.
And I definitely think MJF should go over.
Me too.
Next we get a Darby Allin interview. And he says MJF did not break him mentally, and they will eventually have a rematch, which I like that because I would love that. And I wouldn't mind like a best 2 of 3 series. I mean, not like officially, but like they do like the trilogy of matches.
I'd watch it again, obviously.
He says he won't take any time off, and he wants the biggest and baddest to face. And who should answer the challenge but Billy Gunn?
He is the biggest. He is big. I'll give him that.
I don't think he's the biggest.
No, he's not the biggest.
He's not the baddest either.
No.
He says he is the biggest and the baddest, false, and tells Darby to say when. And then Colton says, better bring a skateboard, and he winks at him for some reason. And then Austin Gunn is like, I like cuddles, and then chuckles.
Yeah, I didn't get that part. I was confused, but it's just...
I've seen this twice, and it still confused me.
This is obviously just a way to start rebuilding Darby, right?
Apparently, Billy Gunn kicked out, like, before 1 of a coffin drop.
Oh.
So
Darby needs to get some wins back after losing to MJF in that amazing match, so that makes sense to work his way through the Gunn Club if he has to pick up some wins, I guess.
Or just face Billy Gunn and call it a day.
Yeah, maybe.
Or actually, I'd rather him face Austin Gunn, because he's not old.
It'll be Sting and Allen against both of the Guns, or 2 of the Guns, or all the Guns. I don't know. But anyways, it was fine. Nothing special.
Gross. I don't want Sting versus Billy Gunn ever, let alone now. Darby Allin versus Billy Gunn. How exciting. The Gunn Club do not matter whatsoever, and them as heels is almost no different from them as babyfaces, because like I said, they do not matter. And Billy Gunn is not the biggest or baddest in AEW, but he's definitely one of the oldest.
He is.
And that is not a good thing. Next we hear from the Super Click. Cole says he's tired of Jurassic Express, and Christian Cage in Full Gear was the worst night of his life, which, I mean, I would say the worst night of his life is probably when he got offered to be a manager.
Probably.
Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Or when he lost the NXT title, but I mean, hey, sure. Matt says it was the worst night of their careers, and his kids had to watch it. He went on longer than that, but that's just kind of a summary of that line. Cole says the Elite and the Super Click will be better than ever. In 2 days' time on Rampage, he and Bobby Fish will end Jurassic Express. Fish insults both members of Jurassic Express and says it's time to put an end to this Jurassic joke, and he's about to say the line, and that is undisputed, which is Cole's line at the end of every promo they ever had.
Right.
And he's about to do the hand gesture, which, like the guys on NXT, but Matt Jackson says we can't do that here and tells Cutler to cut it there, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah, Adam Cole's fantastic. I don't know what it is, but when he cuts a serious promo staring into the camera, it's unlike any other wrestler for me. I don't know what it is.
He's good at it.
And I think his ability to be so good and serious is a great compliment to the Bucks' general over-the-top silliness, right? I like using the Bucks being injured as well, right? Because they did take a beating in that match to allow Fish to work for the group a little bit more. And then we talked about it a little bit, but my fantasy booking of this situation goes like this, because I already think there's this hint that they're just using Bobby Fish right now. So my idea would be they use him a little bit longer. There's a falling out where Fish realizes he's being used and he's not really part of the group. So then he starts to turn against the group. The group's like, what are you going to do? There's one of you. We've got numbers game. And good old Kyle O'Reilly shows up, right? And O'Reilly and Fish are now taking on the Bucks or whatever. And I really think that is a possibility. I think it makes sense to me because Fish is like...
And then Adam Cole's like sucking by the truckers and they all beat down the Young
right?
Bucks.
So Fish is only part of the group when they need him for something and they don't really embrace him as a full member. And at some point he realizes that. And so they're like, too bad, it's one of you and we're just going to kill you. And then O'Reilly comes.
Okay, my fantasy booking is that they are using Bobby Fish, right? And then Cole's like... And Cole's fine with it, but then O'Reilly comes in and he's like, nah, suckers. And then they perform Undisputed Era again. They beat up the Young Bucks. Then Kenny Omega comes back. He's like, hell nah. And then they have a faction feud.
See, I think...
And then eventually Roderick Strong comes in and they're like, now we have more people than you. And they bring in Brandon Cutler.
See, I think mine makes more sense. A, it's less convoluted. And B, Kyle O'Reilly's fresh off of I Hate Adam Cole storyline.
They don't need to connect that.
But they could, and I think it would make sense, because they basically brought Malachi Black's exact same gimmick over from WWE. So it's not like they're against acknowledging what you've done in another company, right? So it could be O'Reilly is still hating Cole and is basically hunting Adam Cole and coming to this company to finish that. and then he starts out by joining up with Fish.
The Elite Hunter.
Right? So, I don't know. That's where I would love to see it go, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, they should give him the Elite Hunter nickname. Worked out for the last guy, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Kaz.
But I like this as a short bit. Colton Fish versus Jurassic Express should be a very interesting match, and I liked another nod to Undisputed Era.
Yep.
I almost said UE, and I hate myself for it. Next we get Lio Rush and Dante Martin versus the Acclaimed in an entertaining TV tag with an interesting styles clash. And, of course, we got to hear nice Max Caster rap.
Yep, another great entrance, I thought.
Maxwell Caster.
And Lio Rush. Leo, listen to me. Look at me, Leo. I'm talking to you right now, Lio Rush.
Lio Rush, we know you listen to the podcast.
You, Lio Rush. I think you're fantastic. Please, Leo, go out and get new gear. You can't. Look at me, Leo. You can't keep wrestling in that gear.
It's so bad. He looks like a child in pajamas.
Because you are very short in stature, yes, it looks like you're wearing a onesie. And on top of that, you are shredded and you have really cool tattoos. So I don't know what you're doing. You need to stop, Leo.
It's double weird.
Just wear trunks. Let's go. Okay.
Or like tights, even, honestly.
That is my intervention with Lio Rush. You may continue.
Yeah. I don't think the bodysuits ever work for anyone. I mean, it's worse because he's short, but like, I remember Ricochet's done it on a few occasions.
It looks like
and
someone's
awful.
kid hopped out of the crowd and is like joined in on the match.
Hasn't Trey Miguel done that before, I feel like?
Yes.
Yeah, Ricochet did. It looked awful. I remember Shinsuke Nakamura did that for like almost the entirety of his heel run.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Like if he were not in shape or he was incredibly skinny like the dude from NXT, Leon Ruff or something. But like he's in phenomenal shape and he's got cool ink.
It used to look weird.
I don't know what he's doing.
I think the only time it was okay is remember MVP used to
yes,
do that.
He wore. I didn't really love when he wore it.
I think that was okay, but like right, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But like I feel like generally it's never a good move. It's like
not.
I feel like even if you went so far as taking the sleeves off,
it would help.
I mean, it might look more like an entrance gear then,
it would
but
look
like
less like pajamas.
Yeah,
which is the goal, I think.
Which that's the main.
Should be a goal.
That's the main goal, at least.
Not look
right?
like
at
a child
least.
in a onesie should be a goal.
Right.
Yeah.
I do like Leo's hair now, though. I think
he's cool,
nice.
man. That's my only complaint
Leo
about
Rush,
him.
I like playing as Leo Rush in 2K, but he's got like that was when he had kind of like a shaved head, pretty much like a buzz cut, and I think he looks cool.
It's my only complaint about Leo Rush.
Yeah. After Caster finishes rapping, Bowen delivers his line, saying an extended Norfolk,
which I think he's getting better in his role too. To be honest.
I think they've taken the New Age Outlaws formula, modernized it, and made it better.
Yep. That's fair.
And they also don't, like, Enzo and Cass were the same thing, but the difference is Caster does it differently every time, because he's always got some sort of different rap. It's always awesome. Like, I think that's what makes it better, too. Is, like, not only are they good at it, like, the other iterations, but, like, they're good at it, doing it, like, different every time, right?
Even just when he walks out and he's waiting for the right part of the beat, when he's like, yo, listen. Like, I even like that part of it.
Yeah, because there's the bit of lyrics in the entrance scene, which I think is a good backtrack, too, right?
Yep, it's good performance.
Unlike NXT 2.0, who don't understand what a good backtrack is, I guess. Martin Rush hits Stereo Suicide Dives to the Claims after they're done doing their shenanigans.
Yep, right away.
Rush and Martin do a lot of quick misdirections on Bowens and hit a drop toe hold basement dropkick combo, which I thought was awesome. They're really fast, like shifting around, misdirecting him. I thought that was really cool because sometimes those look kind of shoddy, but I thought this one was really cool.
So that's one of Lio Rush's signature moves, those dodges, and then I thought they incorporated his new tag partner into it really well.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
It was.
Corner chops by Bowens. After an overhand chop, Martin rebounds the ropes but gets tripped by Caster and pulled out, then sent to the barricade. The Acclaim somewhat methodically are beating on Martin. A neckbreaker by Caster for 2. Martin walks off the backs of the Acclaim to tag in Rush, who gets a really fast hot tag flurry, ending in an axe kick on Bowens for 2. Everybody hits something cool and a nice flurry of offense with just moves going all around, which I thought was really nice. Side slam by Bowens, followed by an elbow drop by Caster, which I think they called the bike drop for 2, with Martin breaking the pin, which I thought was a nice combo. Springboard shotgun dropkick to Caster by Martin, and then Martin hits the double jump springboard moonsault. I forgot what they called it. I think they had a name for it.
I didn't catch it.
And then Rush hits his frog splash where he does like this. It's kind of split-legged in midair.
Yeah.
With his hands I remember he called that the final hour for the win. And post-match, Team Taz come out. Taz congratulates them on the victory and says it's great to see Leo back. He sends his condolences and says that people have been uncomfortable because they approached Martin when Rush was gone. I think it was Rampage last week, I want to say.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it was Dynamite. No, because they were on Dynamite last week against Was that when they faced Idell and Moriarty? I want to say it was.
I think it was, yes.
He says Leo should understand because this is just business. He says they're patient. They waited for Hobbs to join. They mentioned like it's almost a year since he joined them, which I can't imagine anyone cares. Stark says Burt will have a great supporting staff, and if he joins Team Taz, it will be a start to a Hall of Fame career rather than a mediocre one, and the choice is his.
Yeah, the match I really, really enjoyed. Like, I thought it was super fun, especially when things kind of quote unquote broke down and everybody was involved. I thought, just in general, the Acclaimed are a really good heel tag team. Like, they used a lot of like classic heel strategies.
I think once they improve even more in the ring, I would love to see them with the titles.
Yep, they're a young, really solid heel team. They're cutting off the ring with a combination of like basic offense and some high impact stuff. And then all that set up one heck of a Leo Rush hot tag, which is part of the reason heels are supposed to be doing that, right? By isolating and cutting off the ring.
Right, to build up to that.
And Rush's hot tag's amazing. Then you get a satisfying flurry with all four of them involved and some great selling of Rush, especially of that super kick, right? Where it just looked like it knocked him out cold and he just dropped. Yeah. Great combination offense from both teams throughout this. This just an excellent, I thought, TV tag team match. As for the aftermath, I thought it was awkward because they spent a good chunk of it talking up Hobbs, right? As it's his 1 year anniversary, whatever. But like Hobbs hasn't done any, like, you know what I mean? Like saying that how great Hobbs has been presented and that's why you should consider being recruited by us doesn't make sense to me because Hobbs doesn't do anything. I'm fine with this as a mid-card.
That'd be like saying, look at Hook or something.
Right, like, or like look at Wardlow, but even less because Wardlow has done some things. But anyways, Martin and Rush are super fun to watch as a tag team. So whatever gets us that on TV is fine. Like, it's a decent mid-card feud until Martin and Rush can hopefully build up to sort of move up the ranks of the tag teams. Because I
almost don't want Darius and Martin to come back.
I know. I'm really enjoying Rush and Martin together.
Although I wouldn't mind this as a faction as well, with then Top Flight returning, and then Rush can always go on his own as well.
It still feels like Brother comes back and they're baby faces and they get Rush out of there. But I don't know. We'll see.
I would like a high flying.
In the meantime, that Leo Rush Martin team is very fun.
Yeah, as we'll hope it lasts as long as possible.
Right.
I thought this was a fun match. I was so happy to see the Acclaimed entrance on Dynamite again. I think that's 2 weeks in a row. I want to say.
I think so.
Who were they facing last week? I forget.
I don't know.
Damn it. But this is like 2 times in a row. I think now that they've been on Dynamite. So that's great because I think they're pretty good in the ring, but I really love seeing their entrance.
I thought that this match was really fun.
Yeah, I thought this was a great TV tag. Rush and Martin do seem to have some actual great chemistry for like competing twice together already.
Yeah, they're good.
So I think that's really nice. They work very similar styles and they work off of each other really well. And some of their offense was awesome. To be fair, they claimed had some great stuff as well.
They did.
Next we had a quick bit from Christian Cage and Jurassic Express. Christian says Full Gear was one of the greatest nights of his career, which, considering how long of a career he's had, then I guess he really hasn't done a lot. That's one of the greatest nights of his career.
Well, babyface logic.
And he says Cole has never heard the saying, bring a fish to a fist fight.
Oh my god, that line was awful, Christian. I assume he put that in himself and thought it was funny. Never bring a fish to a fist fight. Like, I get it's the reference to Bobby Fish, but that's...
I don't understand how that makes sense.
It's dumb. There's a famous never bring a knife to a gunfight. Right? You're bringing a knife to a gunfight sort of thing. So I think it was a play off that, but it was bad.
Yeah. Jungle Boy says they had the chance to end him last week, and they didn't. He says they are better than they have ever been, and they will see them on Friday. And I thought it was a solid promo from them. I'm glad Jungle Boy doesn't have a crappy beard anymore, and Christian sucks.
Yeah, Jungle Boy's improving on the mic, but I think he still has a ways to go. This was just a pretty standard promo. Nothing offensive, but nothing great either.
Mm-hmm. And then next we have a quick Cargill Red Velvet package, which I did not take notes on because it moved kind of fast, and I also don't care.
Summarized their history like in a back and forth manner, trying to build a little something.
Short back and forth video package to build the tournament matches a bit more.
Yeah.
It was fine, but I never really cared about this feud since that Shaq match.
Yeah, I think both of these women have really good charisma and actually speak really well. They just need to get better in the ring, which I'm not saying they should be better than they are already because they're... Jade definitely is kind of new. I don't really know about Red Velvet, but as long as they keep getting better in the ring, they're going to be really good, both of them, I think. So I thought the production, it was like a slick, well-produced package. It did its job. It's adding a little something to just a tournament match, which is what the point was. So I think it did its job.
Mm-hmm. And then next we have a quick Lucha Bros promo. Obviously translated through Alex. Penta says FTR cheated to win multiple times, but they suck so bad they couldn't get the job done. And Phoenix says they have something special for next week, and they'll see him next week, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, solid, straightforward. I thought it was nice to hear Phoenix speak because I feel like he doesn't say a lot. So, I mean, it was nothing special, just straightforward stuff. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I thought it was a solid promo. They didn't say much, but I thought they did pretty good.
Yep. Well, you're sounding a little bit sicker.
And then, I don't know,
it's starting to sound congested a little.
I've got like I don't know, my throat's a little, it doesn't hurt, but I don't.
You're at the main event.
It might be from the smoothie, but
lots of your talking's almost done.
Yeah, so we have arrived to the main event, which is Jay Lethal challenging Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. If you didn't hear the full gear review, they did announce that Jay Lethal had signed with AEW, so this is his first match.
Right.
And this was an entertaining back and forth match to cap off the show. There was a lot of back and forth wrestling early on. Jay Lethal hits the hip toss cartwheel drop kick for a 1 count. Kind of the move that Young Bucks
Did you
do.
mention Nice is in the crowd again?
No, I did not. But he is.
They show us early on. He's there.
Which that's gotta come something soon, and I will take Tony Nese versus Sammy Guevara.
Yeah, me too.
That sounds pretty good. Fosbury flop dive by Guevara. Lethal gets his knees up on a shooting star press from Guevara, which looked pretty nice. Rapid fire corner attack by Lethal, and a big pop up off of an Irish whip and the ropes. Like if he's popping him up to set up for something, but he just lets him drop.
Right.
So it was pretty nice.
Yep.
Guevara always avoids a lethal injection, which is just a handspring cutter, and hits a standing Spanish fly, which looked pretty nice. He goes for a swanton bomb to the outside through the timekeeper's table, but Lethal moves out of the way. And Guevara counters the Macho Man elbow and a crucifix pin for 2, reference to Black Machismo.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting sit-up facebuster move by Lethal for 2. Guevara gets out of the figure 4 leg lock that Lethal had put on for a little bit. Guevara flips over Dragon Suplex and it's a nice pump knee strike and another really nice one.
Yes.
And then he falls to the GTH to get the win.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Jay Lethal fan, more so of his in-ring work, though he is good in ring. But as somebody who's been watching Ring of Honor for the last however many weeks and reviewing it, like a year or whatever, I thought he looked reinvigorated here. He looked faster. He looked more energetic than I've seen him in ROH. And he and Sammy had some pretty amazing sequences in this. I'm sure being in front of like a huge, rabid crowd and in a championship match in a main event, sort of on your debut, right, would get his adrenaline pumping for sure. So I think Lethal comes away looking legit here. He looked really good, and he's going to make an impression on anyone who doesn't happen to know who he is, right? Sammy looks really good defending against a tough opponent while he's sort of selling an injury. And I thought this was an excellent main event, and the crowd definitely loved it. So, I mean, I'm not thrilled with Jay Lethal being signed. He's not one of the ones in a very bloated roster that I think they need, but I thought he had a really good match here, so who knows?
Oh yeah, we've been talking about people needing to sign like O'Reilly and Gargano and Dunn, but you know who you haven't mentioned?
Who?
You want to guess? You want to guess?
Jay Lethal?
Taylor Rust.
Taylor Rust.
They need to sign Taylor Rust.
Need to. You never know. He's out there.
He is out there now, so AEW sign him up, all right?
You're not going to like this. I could see him on Dark or Elevation.
That is disrespectful.
I know.
And if that happens...
Or accurate.
Maybe. I will actually watch Dark if he's on it.
Wow.
Okay? AEW, you want me to watch Dark? I will even review it if he's on there, okay?
Wow. Nice.
If he is there. If he's not, then I will not. I thought it was a great main event, though. Guevara put on another great title defense. I thought Lethal had a great showing as well. I haven't seen a ton of him, but I thought this was a great showing for him.
It was.
It definitely helps that if I haven't seen him, that
Exactly.
this was a
That's
good
what I'm
showing
saying.
for him. A great choice for a main event, good way to end the show. Nice start to Lethal's run. Not sure how prominent he'll be, but good start.
Yep.
What did you think of the show? And a letter grade.
I thought it was another pretty excellent episode of Dynamite. Any issues I had with it were pretty minor, right? I thought the Danielson Uno opener was a good 6-minute match to further establish Danielson. Nayashita had a good match, and the Acclaimed match and the main event, I would say, were excellent. So that's some pretty good action on this show. Super Click twice. Paige and MJF had great promos, and then I thought Jade, Velvet, Malachi Black all had good segments as well. I didn't think there were any really bad segments. Again, I nitpicked a couple areas, but that's... If all I'm doing is nitpicking after covering NXT, like nitpicking's fine. NXT, it's just basically dump the whole show, right? Here, it's only a couple tiny things here and there. On the plus side that we didn't point out, no Dan Lambert or America's Top Team. So
it might be over. No Inner Circle either. I mean, Guevara was there.
That's a bonus.
But like no segments or whatever.
Right. So seems like a standard grade for AEW for me right now, but I can't help it. I thought this was another A- show. Like I really, really enjoyed it and only had minor issues. If one more match was like excellent, then I probably would move it up to an A. So an A- again for me this week. Good show.
Overall, I thought it was a good show. The opening segment, followed by the Ryan Uno match, was an awesome start to the show. The MJF promo and Kingston interview were both good. Butcher and Blade vs. Cass Ishii was fine, but it was exactly what you'd expect.
Yeah, I didn't.
The FTR Andrade thing was solid, and the Conti package was fine as well. Baker's interview was solid. Sheeta Rose was actually pretty good. Not as good as some of the other ones, but I still liked it.
Me too.
Malachi Black's promo was good. I always love his promos, and MJF's was good as well, and the interaction with Punk. Darby Allin saying was lame because Gun Club sucks. The Super Quick promo was good. Russian Martin vs. The Acclaimed was very fun. That one was awesome. And Jurassic Express with Lucha Bros, and those promos were both fine, and the main event was awesome as well. I was thinking B+, but I think looking back, it's definitely better than I initially
I do
thought,
that sometimes too.
So I'll go with an A- as well.
As I talk about it, and then I've done that a few weeks where I talk about it, and then I get to my grade, and either way, sometimes I'm like, you know what, I liked it a little better than that, or like I really complained a few more times than I thought. So yeah, I thought it was a really good show. All right, that's going to wrap up our Dynamite review and move us into another segment where we talk about other wrestling stuff, and we call it Any Other Wrestling Business. So we'll start out with Impact Wrestling, and this week's episode started with a really good recap of Moose's recent situation, sort of with a summary of all of the reasons.
I think I caught that, yeah.
You did. You were here for the first bit, and then you came back at the end just to laugh maniacally at me, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Your timing was perfect for that one.
Perfect, yes.
So it's kind of a summary of all of the reasons why so many people on the roster have an issue with Moose, which I kind of like as a story. He's got all kinds of...
It's realistic, right?
Right, and
not
all
just
kinds...
like one people, or one person, whoever's quote-unquote next in line.
There's like a lineup of people wanting a shot at Moose, which
and
I like.
all of them make sense at
right,
least.
They all have reasons. So I thought this was a really slick segment to start the show, and it'd be helpful if they got any new viewers. And since we talked about the ratings and they were up significantly from last week, they might have. So it would be a nice little introduction and recap into the sort of main event scene, which is smart.
I think definitely Suzuki versus Alexander is quite a draw.
Yes, that is probably true. It made Moose look like a dominant heel champion, and they even, I thought, managed to make Eddie Edwards look like a worthy challenger, even though he's not. No offense to him, but he's not winning. But anyways, we start out this show in ring with a Macklin versus Laredo Kid match. The stipulation here is if Macklin wins, he will be added to the Trey Miguel Laredo Kid X Division Championship match, I think at Turning Point, which is tonight, right?
Yes,
you told me. So this match started out much more technical than I expected because neither man is really known for being that type of wrestler, but Laredo Kid specifically was showing off some technical abilities here.
Laredo Kid's primarily high flying, and Macklin's like a bruiser.
Like an aggressive kind of bruiser, yeah. So this was a cool contrast to styles, like you're saying, right? We have the aggression and power of Macklin against the speed and high flying ability of Laredo Kid. So Macklin hit a nice suicide dive to Laredo Kid that ended up, it was at the base of the ramp, so I think Laredo Kid sort of hit a little harder than he planned because the ramp was starting when he fell back, so the ground was a little not as far back as he thought it was. Laredo Kid then escapes the crosshair, which is the upside down sort of corner spear that you don't love, but I do.
Namesake of the best Bad Batch character.
Sure. But Macklin, I thought this was cool because Laredo Kid pulls himself up to avoid it, but Macklin quickly adjusted too and just slid on his belly out to the floor.
Remember Baron Corbin used to do that all the time?
Yes, and it looks cool. And then Laredo Kid used that to... He stepped off the ring post and jumped onto Macklin onto the floor in what I thought was a pretty cool segment. We got a Michinoku driver by Laredo Kid, a series of moonsaults by Laredo Kid that all looked good, a really nice high running knee by Macklin, a nice Poison Rana by Laredo Kid, and then eventually the finish comes when Macklin hits the crosshair successfully. He drags Laredo Kid from the corner to immediately hit the Mayhem for All, which I also like, and Macklin gets the win here in what was a 6.5 minute X Division opener. You watched this one with me. I thought this was an excellent match. It didn't get a ton of time, but it got a bit more than what we usually get on Impact. I feel like they could have gone even longer with this, and I'll even make a suggestion later where they could have pulled some of those minutes from. I think Macklin is awesome. So yes, I am in fact saying that Steve Cutler from WWE is awesome.
I remember when I first started watching NXT, he was like a big jobber boy.
Like, he's one of my favorites right now across companies, maybe. Like, I really like his violent style, just works really well. And he seems to keep sort of adding more and more as the weeks go by. He does something a little bit different or adds another move to the repertoire. His finishing combination of the crosshair and the Mayhem for All is among my favorites in wrestling. I would have to probably say my favorite combo right now might be, it's also an Impact, strangely enough, Josh Alexander's power bomb onto the knee, and then the C4 is pretty awesome too. So Macklin has still never been pinned or submitted, and Laredo Kid looked awesome in this as well. He flies around the ring, looks incredibly smooth, never really seems to make any mistakes, and he's taken a lot of risks along the way.
One of those guys.
I thought this was an excellent opening match. I think I liked it more than you did. You actually watched, or you were your attention was probably divided with your phone, but do you like this match okay?
I thought it was okay. It's too short.
I really liked it. But I'm more also used to Impact, right? So we get a recap.
I mean, I am used to NXT.
We get a recap of Brian Myers beating Sam Beal with a chair on BTI. So before the Impact, before this episode, I guess.
The restraint you must have had to not watch it.
Right. And now he's on a stretcher backstage with Willie Mack and Rich Swann accompanying him. So Swann ends up cutting a promo. He basically is questioning Myers' leadership ability, says that Myers can learn under Swann's tree and Swann will take a switch and beat Myers with it. He then challenges Brian Myers to a match at Turning Point. So I thought Swann was...
that's explained, because I saw a thing that Myers was pulled from Turning Point.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, I think so.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. So I thought Swann was fine. Swine, that's not nice. Swann was fine here in his promo. He's usually not great in a promo, so if I don't have any problems with it, that's generally an improvement for him. But I thought it was a bit ridiculous that he makes this whole speech and then turns to the medic and is like, okay, get him to the hospital. Like, why wouldn't you let your friend who's just been attacked get to the hospital before making this speech? So I thought that was a little bit of a flaw in this, but otherwise it was fine. So Trey Miguel then isn't happy with the X Division title match being a triple threat, but he says he's ready for anything. He's going to go out of his way to beat Macklin to retain the title. So I thought it was pretty generic promo. Trey's never my favorite on the mic. I do think it's somewhat interesting that he's saying he's going to target Macklin specifically, right? So I don't know if that's a sound strategy in a triple threat to claim you're going to beat one guy specifically for the title, but I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it feels like it would be an opportunity to set up like he's distracted by his obsession with pinning Macklin.
Or like,
right?
I think I'd like to keep him from having any excuses, I guess, this time.
Right. And so I don't know if they're planning a title change or not, but it would be an interesting way that maybe Trey's too focused on Macklin and Laredo Kid can sneak in there. I don't know. But anyways, I guess we'll find out. So Ace Austin is then talking to Gia Miller backstage. You told me they're together?
I think so.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think I knew that. So Ace Austin isn't interested in beating Chris Sabin again at Turning Point because, as his shirt says, he already beat Chris Sabin. So Sabin, of course, interrupts and tries to talk Austin into taking the challenge. And I think Austin accepted, but they start brawling, so I wasn't entirely sure. Sabin locks Fulton in a cooler as the brawl ensues. Austin just sort of leaves, escapes, and Sabin then comedically knocks on the cooler that Fulton's trapped inside as he walks away, leaving Fulton, in theory, trapped in the cooler.
For maybe a week?
So I thought, and you were here for this, I thought Austin was really good here as the annoying chicken heel who's kind of hiding behind his big muscle guy. So I really like the role he's playing. And I think the funny thing when Sabin was complaining about the shirt and Austin just quickly went, "Do you want me to get you one?" or something.
Yeah,
I thought that was
fun.
pretty funny. I didn't really like the brawl to end. I would have preferred it just Fulton and Austin walk away or something, because I thought the brawl was kind of cheesy, and having to incorporate Fulton falling into the cooler and getting locked in, I thought wasn't my favorite. But everything up to the brawl I thought was fine. Inspiration are now taking on the Undead Bridesmaids.
Without the Undead Bride.
And I had my note here. Jack dislikes much about the Inspiration's presentation, so I don't know if you want to talk about that briefly.
I thought their ring gear looks kind of weird. It looks like a weird schoolgirl thing or something.
Yeah, and then
their theme is not very good.
Right.
But then again, I thought their WWE theme was very nice.
Yeah.
And I think the titles are designed very poorly. They are
That was it.
very
I knew
small.
there was a list of things you were not a fan of.
They're very small. I think that's an issue with many women's titles. And like I knew that was always a thing. Like I've seen like when I watched like the history of the G1 Climax, like
Yeah.
old Japan belts were pretty small,
tiny.
but like
Yeah.
or like the junior heavyweight title not in New Japan, but like that's junior heavyweights, and I feel like women's titles a lot are small. I mean, ask AEW up
Yes.
until like earlier this year.
It's still small-ish. I mean, it was bigger than it was initially.
It's of decent size now, though.
Yes.
I think like earlier it was like midget.
So early on in this match, Jessica McKay's antics were really the only thing that I was finding entertaining. I kind of just think that everything she does is kind of comedic in a way. I think she's not a great wrestler, but she's an excellent performer.
I think Peyton Royce or Cassie Lee or whatever is better in ring,
but I still don't find her good.
And equally funny.
Chinbreaker, while doing the splits by Kimberly, I thought was pretty cool. I don't know if she's done it before. I haven't noticed.
And the zombies are so flexible.
Right. We get an assisted powerbomb by the Inspiration for the win in what is, for me, too long 9 minutes. This is where I'm saying give 3 or 4 of these minutes to the opener, right?
Yeah.
Like that would be a much better time spent, I think. So Decay come down after the match and surround the ring and are creepy, and they enter. Inspiration are obviously terrified about this, and they end up sitting back to back in the middle of the ring, crippled with fear.
Yeah, I thought that looked kind of dumb.
And Decay grab the titles and hold them up, and then their theme hits, and they just leave. So I guess it's just intimidation and fear that they're going for at this point. They didn't attack anybody or anything, but I guess because they're the baby faces, even though they're demons and teleport. And
also one of them's a bull.
So the match wasn't very good, I'm not going to lie, but that's not what the Inspiration are about. I'm almost to the point where I wish that they would embrace that in their character somehow. Like basically admit that they can't really wrestle, or that they're other people wrestle better than them, but the fact is they still win all the time, because they're not good in the ring, man. I don't even think Peyton Royce is very good, or whatever her new name is. But anyways.
I think she's better.
And Decay do nothing for me at this point. I'm not sure why anyone would be afraid of them, to be honest, because they don't seem very intimidating to me, but anyways.
Creepy face paint, I guess.
And poor Black Taurus, I would love him to break from Decay and do something.
I was saying that if you're in like a dark place or whatever, Black Taurus,
he'd be the one that's terrifying for sure.
Because that mask is that's awesome.
Just wait to see how they treat him later in this. I think you were still watching up to this point, but anyways, you'll see later. Earlier this week, Chelsea Green, they tell us, became the #1 contender for the digital media title. The
most prestigious championship in this great sport.
In what I would guess was an internet match. I still don't know what's going on with this title, but I don't really care either. So she speaks to Gia about it, and she wants the title, and she goes out and gets what she wants. Cardona, who is with her, gets to speak, and it almost becomes more about him, and like Chelsea Green's a bit of an afterthought here. So Cardona summarizes his loss to Moose. He says he was very close in that match, so he wants the next title shot because he's always ready. Interruption again. It's Morrissey this time, and he says that Matt Cardona won't get the next shot because Morrissey is in his way. Cardona then takes it upon himself to basically make a match between he and Morrissey at Turning Point. I don't know if it's for the next #1 contender or what it is, but that's what we've got. I liked Morrissey here.
Right.
He's really good as the intense bully whenever he shows up, so I think that works. I have a bit of an issue with Cardona thinking he deserves the next title shot after he lost his most recent match. So I don't know how that makes sense, but he was fine here too. And that, like I said, Green kind of became an afterthought, really. Gia then is talking to Eddie Edwards and asking about being the first of many to get their shot at Moose. Eddie starts to run down his recent history with Moose and his wife Alicia Edwards, a lot of it as well. Moose attacks, and they brawl down the ramp to the ring apron, where Eddie gets hit with a Uranagi, then a powerbomb onto the apron that looked pretty good. Moose gets a table and a chair. He wraps the chair around Eddie's neck and runs him into the ring post. Eddie ends up escaping and wears out Moose with a steel chair in the ring. We get a butterfly powerbomb and a Boston knee party that leaves Moose lying on a table. Eddie gets a ladder, and looks like obviously his plan is to climb up onto this ladder and deliver something to Moose through the table, but Moose gets up and escapes. I thought this segment was just a bit too long. I preferred Moose looking dominant. I don't really love Eddie Edwards, and I mean, obviously it's a prelude to Moose winning the match, right? So they're trying to give Eddie Edwards a chance to look strong leading up to that, but I don't think you always need to do that, and I would have preferred Moose just looks dominant because he should, I think, at this point. but I get what they're trying to do. It's just not really working for me. Moose is still angry about this treatment at the hands of Eddie Edwards as he's backstage, and Scott D'Amore appears, and I guess we find out why they had the tables and the chairs and the ladders and everything, because he makes the match between Eddie Edwards and Moose at Turning Point.
Full Metal Mayhem.
Right, so Full Metal Mayhem match. Now, you're going to hear Jackson every time call it Mayhem match, and it's not because he doesn't know how to pronounce the word. It's an homage, or a dig, I guess, at Josh Matthews, because Josh Matthews, the forever commentator, not currently, but before, he is incapable of saying the word mayhem. So it is always mayhem, and it's now
become a
joke.
He doesn't call Mac mayhem for all.
Mayhem for all. It would be.
Now I was saying I literally want him to be a commentator for the pay-per-view for this one match.
For the Full Metal Mayhem match.
Yes.
Eddie keeps kind of flipping back and forth for me between embracing this hardcore gimmick and then trying to distance himself from it, and it's back and forth, right? So
he definitely looks the part of the hardcore gimmick more. He still looks like a crazy.
I guess the idea is it gives Eddie more of a chance. It's more believable Eddie could win if he's allowed to use weapons and things, because he's definitely the competitor who's has more experience in those types of matches. But I mean, let's be real, he's not winning that match, so it doesn't matter what weapons he's going to use. We then get Mercedes Martinez, and she talks about her sort of surprise attack on Mickie James last week, as Mickie James came out to help her in an attack from, was it Madison Rayne, probably, I think. So she quickly turned on Mickie James and delivered some offense to her. So she says she respects Mickie James, but respect goes out the window. She came to this division to dominate. She took out 3 women on her first night in Impact, and in 2 days she's taking out the legend Mickie James to win the Knockouts title, and the reign of the OG badass begins. So I thought this was an excellent promo from Martinez, and she does, to me, come off as a badass both in this promo and in the ring. And I really hope she wins, and I think there's a chance she does, because Mickie could be a really good transitional champion, right? She doesn't work for this company. She can go back to NWA where she's an executive, and Mercedes could be a legit champion that gets a strong win right out of the gate and could hopefully, for me, have a pretty long reign, because I don't see a lot of competition in this division. That's what I would do until Deonna Purrazzo is ready. I think Purrazzo, she could easily take a hiatus because she's been working really hard and often, and she could come back as a babyface to sort of feud with Mercedes Martinez, and I think that matchup would be probably the one I would look forward to the most out of this division of anyone considered. But there's a monkey wrench thrown into that plan a little bit later, but that was my thoughts in this minute. You have Deonna gone for a while. She comes back as a face, challenges the strong champion Martinez, and has an awesome feud. But we'll see. We then get a dream match for everyone. It's Hikuleo versus Doc Gallows.
Oh, dude, I've been waiting for this for 10 years.
So I'm not interested in this, obviously. It feels very much like a WWE, but they're so big match, right? They're both big. They're so big. Look at them. They're so big.
Big beefy boys.
And as long as they're both talented performers, that's fine, right? But I would argue that is not the case here in either of them. One is past his prime by far and struggles to get around the ring at times, and the other one for me is just really young and inexperienced still. I'll let you figure out which is which on your own. So we get lots of punches and walking around, because guess who's in control of offense then? Mr. Gallows.
Yes.
Punch, walk, walk, walk. Punch, walk, walk, walk. Bullet Club get up on the apron and allows Hikuleo to hit a low blow without the ref seeing it. So then after that plodding start by the big men, we need a rest hold, so we get a chin lock and then a neck vice from Hikuleo as the big men catch their breath, I guess. We get a boot sequence by Gallows that actually looks pretty good, but he does look exhausted at this point. Anyways, fast forward, Anderson shows up on the apron, briefly distracts Hikuleo, allows Gallows to gouge the eyes of Hikuleo, and then hit his choke bomb for the win. First half of this, really boring. Second half, a little bit better. Still not great. Gallows obviously has to win, despite being outnumbered, so we can just move on from this, right? Bay, and this is a strange little phenomenon, Chris Bay and El Phantasmo are really cool, but somehow Bullet Club, which they make up 2/3 of, is not, right? So I don't know how to reconcile that, but I don't care about Bullet Club, but I like 2 of these guys. The Good Brothers aren't interesting either, so this feud, surprise, surprise, does very little for me. Gia is then waiting for Deonna Purrazzo. So much for the hiatus I had planned in my fantasy booking, right? Like 10 minutes later, nope. So she's waiting for Deonna Purrazzo to arrive for what Gia tells us is an exclusive sit-down interview. So Deonna walks in with Matthew Raywalt, and they're both dressed completely in black, and Deonna is wearing oversized dark sunglasses. She looks really cool, actually, as she generally does. So Deonna starts out, her answers are really brief and vague, like one word and nothing specific. She clearly does not want to be there for the interview. So Gia, to her credit, who I think does a great job, she points out, she says, "You agreed to this interview," and Deonna quickly corrects her and says, "No, I'm contractually obligated to be here." So Gia says that the fans deserve an explanation. Deonna says she doesn't owe anyone anything. She will analyze her mistakes and correct them going forward. She doesn't need to tell anyone anything, and Gia and Mickie James will just have to wait and see what the Virtuosa does next. So I think Deonna was great here, and actually I'd like to give credit to Gia too. She's really good in her role on Impact. It's almost like Deonna is in mourning after losing the title, rolling in all in black and barely commenting on the first few questions, which I thought was a nice touch. And I really like her talking about being the type of wrestler that's going to analyze her mistakes and correct them going forward, right? So she's like a thoughtful heel, not just like, I shouldn't have lost, I should never lose, I'm the best. It's like, I lost, I made mistakes, I'm going to correct them. So I thought that was a really cool detail. I like this segment overall, but it kind of blows my Deonna returns as a babyface idea out of the water right away.
Right.
But honestly, she's a better heel than a babyface anyway, so I don't have a problem with it. Good old Finn Juice, they're not happy with being knocked all the way back down to the bottom of the tag team ladder. So Scott D'Amore shows up, surprise, surprise, compliments Finn Juice quite a bit here, and gives them a match just randomly out of the clear blue sky against Decay at Turning Point. So I imagine this is basically an opportunity for Finn Juice to pick up a win because they're coming off a loss in a title sort of chase, and Decay, who really cares about them. So I imagine this is like a get back on track match for Finn Juice, and it's just a crazy quick build for Turning Point, because this is a match with, I don't think, any backstory that I can remember, made like 2 days before the pay-per-view, but whatever. Eric Young promo with Violent by Design. He asked what it is like to be truly free. He says Rhino knew real freedom, but then he made a choice. That choice brings consequences, and at Turning Point, Eric Young promises to build a monument to violence, which I thought was cool, over Rhino and Heath's bodies, and this will be over forever. So Eric Young's promos continue to be by far the best thing that Violent by Design does. I still don't care about this seemingly never-ending feud. I really hope the over forever part is real. And Stryker just kind of feels like I do, I guess, where they're just pulling this match out of the air. Stryker just goes, well, there's another match made for Turning Point, right? Like acknowledging it was kind of a very quick build. He's kind of noticed the entire card seems to be being made tonight, whether it's like a lingering feud that it makes sense or just a random match. So here we go. We get Johnny Swinger and Hernandez and Fallah Bahh taking on the team of Decay and the Demon. So it's not Finn Balor making his debut. It's the Demon from awful 90s WCW, who's still here for some reason after making a surprise appearance at whatever show that was that I can't remember.
Bound for Glory.
Thank you. So this is yet another match I have no desire to see on this show. We get a very mild reaction for the Demon as he comes out. Other than a single appearance for nostalgia's sake when he first was a quote-unquote surprise, who could possibly care about watching the Demon wrestle in 2021? So Swinger, this is the part that I hated. Swinger uses his bandana because it's red to be like a matador, and Tarus, of course, has to play along and behaves like a bull. So it just was awful. I just groaned audibly for that one. The Demon is awful. Commentary make themselves sound ridiculous, trying to make it sound like the Demon is good. So that was just awkward for them. Crazy Steve and Tarus dive onto Bahh and Hernandez on the floor, and that allows the Demon to apply, I think it was $1 Million Dream to Swinger, who taps out instantly, and thankfully just over 3-minute match. Awful attempt at a comedy match. Thankfully it was short, but it was a bad 3 minutes. They are not, whatever they paid the Demon, they are not getting any value out of that money. If he had been around longer this year, he would qualify for my worst wrestler of the year. But he hasn't, I mean, he just showed up, so I can't really include him. which we need to start thinking about, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it is
don't we usually
mid-November.
do mainly NXT and AEW?
Yes, we do. But I threw in some. Remember,
Oh yeah, you just did
EC3
honorable
and
mentions.
Moose were in my honorable mentions for worst of stuff last year.
Oh, that's true.
Right?
Right.
So then we get Johnny Swinger's backstage. He's upset, obviously, and he passes John E. Bravo. So Bravo tries to console Swinger a little bit, but Swinger isn't having any of it, and he says something about hitting rock bottom because obviously he's just recently lost his casino. It's gone. Gee, I wonder what could ever happen next. So Swinger leaves dejectedly, and Havoc and Rosemary sort of magically appear. They're willing to help Johnny Bravo, to help Swinger, for the same thing they've always wanted, Bravo's virgin blood, which sends me back to not so fond memories. So no, we've gone down this road before, and it was terrible, terrible stuff. Terrible comedy and supernatural stuff rolled into one, which is like my nightmare. I can't do this again. I don't know what they're planning, but I don't want it.
No, you do not.
We do not, definitely. We'll find out soon enough. So Jordan Grace talks about Chelsea Green at Turning Point. She says she respects Green, but there's a reason that Grace is the champion. Ellering, who's standing beside her, sort of speaks up now. She said, she reminds us that Green was in the multi-person match for the title in the first place with Jordan Grace, and Rachel Green, haven't done it in a while. Chelsea Green lost, and Jordan Grace won. Grace ends the promo by saying that Green couldn't get it done, and she won't get it done now. I thought this was a pretty good promo by these two, a nice serious tone to it, and I like how these two seem really supportive of each other with no signs of dissension anymore. They've sort of done that story before, so I like that they're kind of always on the same page and supporting each other, even though only one of them has a title right now. So Mickie James then gets her chance to respond to Mercedes Martinez's comments from earlier. She thought that Martinez was someone she admired and respected, and she thought she was coming out last week to help a friend. She won't make that mistake again, and Mercedes better get ready for hardcore country. So a good quick babyface promo. Mickie James is just a pro, right? So everything she does is at least solid, so I have no problem with this. We then get the match that I was really looking forward to on this show, and that is Minoru Suzuki coming from New Japan to take on Josh Alexander as he's sort of stepping away from the main event to deal with this, and then in my hopes going straight back to it, but we'll see. And there have been some lackluster matches on the show tonight, so this one should be great. I thought the crowd chants, "This is awesome," 5 seconds into the match. Super annoying. Nothing has happened. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. The "you deserve it," the "this is awesomes." Save them. They are now.
Still got it.
They're basically meaningless at this point, right? Because they just throw them out as soon as possible. Anyways, after Alexander has control to start, Suzuki attacks Alexander's arm. Suzuki gets a chair. A security guy steps in to try and stop him, and he obviously gets taken out by Suzuki. I think it was just a forearm or something. Didn't look quite as strong as I'd hoped it would. They then fight up the ramp, and Suzuki hits a running boot that sends Alexander all the way to the base of the ramp. Lots of strikes and exchanges. Alexander fights his way to the Gotch piledriver, hits a roll-through slam and a diving knee for 2. Then we get some counters of each other's signature submissions. Then 2 really big forearms and a C4 spike. And Alexander picks up the win in just under 14 minutes, so a lot of time for this match. I thought the first half was pretty underwhelming, and I was starting to lose interest a little bit, which I can't believe I'm saying about a match between these two guys. But once Alexander started fighting back, things got a little more interesting for the final few minutes. I thought it was a decent main event, but certainly not what I had hoped for. I was hoping to be really excited and saying you need to go out and see this, which is definitely not the case. A solid main event, but nothing spectacular, and I think this sounds crazy, but I enjoyed the 6-minute opener X Division match more than I liked the 14-minute main event between Alexander and Suzuki. So that is not how that should go, right? So a little bit disappointed in the main event.
Speaking of more interesting,
but it was still solid. So the show's over, right? I can move on?
Yep.
Nope. So after the main event, does the positioning of this indicate how important this is to them? Because it better not. So it's funny because Jack watched, I don't know, the first few matches and segments, right? And then you were gone. And then you came back down right for this moment.
Yeah, I saw like the ending of the Alexander Suzuki match.
So then he's sort of sitting down and we get our final segment, which is we go back and it's Johnny Swinger and John E. Bravo together. And they run into everybody basically from Swinger's Palace. So they're not sure why they're there, but then Decay magically appears to say that they brought everyone together. So don't be laughing into the microphone directly because it's going to clip and it's going to be annoying for our listeners. So they tell us, I wish this was a video pod right now to see the joy on my son's face as I am about to re-enter my own personal hell, and he is amused. So next week, they're coming together again, all of them, in Wrestle House 2. As Impact Wrestling is trolling me. This can't be real. It can't be. There's no way that this is an actual
They had a
thing.
graphic and everything.
So this is my nightmare. I honestly can't believe that they are going back to this. And that they are so excited about it that it follows what, in theory, was like a huge main event on this show. So in my notes say, Jack showed up just in time to laugh hysterically at my misfortune, and you're still laughing.
Yeah, well, then I get to hear about it. That was my favorite part when you reviewed Impact, and it was like this, and it was bad.
And I was so excited that Swingers Palace had ended, because Swingers Palace was really bad. It wasn't Wrestle House bad, but it was really bad. And then when Swingers Palace went away, I was like, oh man, they're ditching all their really, really stupid comedy stuff. Nope, they're bringing back the worst of the worst of the worst again for me to talk about. So amazing. I don't know, man. Overall, this was, I think, just below a decent episode of Impact. The in-ring work was okay. Like, I really liked the opener. The main event kind of underwhelmed, and there was nothing exciting in between. Segment-wise, the return of Wrestle House is a crushing blow to me. Right? But, to be fair, Deonna Purrazzo had an excellent segment. Violent by Design had a good promo, despite what I think about everything else they do. Mickey was solid. Mercedes had a really good promo. And the Moose Eddie Edwards match is being built. And I guess it was to add that classic Impact stipulation, right? So that makes sense. But I can't give this show a little bit lower than usual. So I'm going to go with the C+, because I didn't like a fair amount. And the main event, underwhelming. And the Wrestle House 2 is what brought it out of the B range. How long do you think
Wrestle House can go for?
They'll go for months. There's some people don't hate it. Like, you can find very limited feedback on Impact Wrestling, which is part of the reason I do it on this show, because I think it's one place people can come to get some kind of information on Impact. But some people like it and think it's funny, and it is not. So those people, I usually am like, everyone should have I think it's objectively bad, but some people don't. So I think it'll go for months, dude. You're gonna get months of me angry about it.
Exactly. That's the point.
Right. So you'll be looking forward to that. So a C+ show, a few good things, a couple really good promos, a solid 6-minute opening match, and then some disappointing stuff along the way, leading at the rock bottom of Wrestle House 2 coming back. Damn it. Anyways.
Electric Boogaloo.
So that ends my review of Impact Wrestling this week. What do you have for us? We're going to talk about some
Yeah, we have a Survivor Series
predictions,
2021 preview and predictions. So I just included the pre-show Battle Royal, 25-man pre-show Battle Royal, dual branded in honor of Rock 25. I actually have everyone in it, so I'll list that off just in case. So technically speaking, the Battle Royal is Ricochet versus T-Bar versus Mansoor versus Cesaro versus Montez Ford versus Angelo Dawkins versus Eric versus Ivar versus R-Truth versus Drew Gulak versus AJ Styles versus Omos versus Sami Zayn versus Humberto Carrillo versus Angel Garza versus Apollo Crews versus Commander Aziz versus Otis versus Chad Gable versus Shelton Benjamin versus Cedric Alexander versus Dolph Ziggler versus Robert Roode versus Jinder Mahal, and finally Shanky.
Nice. Sorry, what do they get if they win? Anything?
That's a good question.
There's no stakes at all?
No, that I know.
My choice
It's in honor of Rock 25.
Then my choice is clear. I will take Omos.
Omos, really?
Because if there's no stakes, it doesn't lead to him in a singles match.
So
I don't know if you know this about him. He's really, really big.
Okay, my theory is, so since it's supposedly in honor of Rock, I feel like that has to play into it to some degree, right? And so I'm thinking it would be like someone like Ford or Alexander, because it's WWE. You know how they are.
Yes.
And at the same time, it is just a pre-show Battle Royal, so I'm not thinking about it too much, but I'm going to pick Montez Ford, because I feel like he kind of fits the bill for like a Rock 25 honorary thing, and I heard they want a singles push for him, so yes, this doesn't mean anything, but this is a start. That would be a start.
I just feel like they love Omos, or however you say
Omos,
it.
Is it,
and that this is a way in a safe environment to showcase the crap out of him and put a feather in his cap
Yeah,
because they love
they
him.
could still do that without him winning, but I see what you mean. Yeah, he is big.
But what about, is there no surprise entrance?
No, those are 25.
Because then I would think it would be like Sikoa making his appearance to sort of be a tie to that, whatever, that to the
they
Rock as
done
well.
That, yeah.
Okay, so that's my choice for that one.
Raw Tag Team Champion versus SmackDown Tag Team Champions, RK-Bro versus the Usos. I took the Usos because the Bloodline are on a pretty kick-ass run right now. And the Usos are one of WWE's best current and all-time tag teams.
True.
RK-Bro are still an odd couple tag team who have only mutually come to like each other for like a couple months now. There's no universe where they should go with the Usos. They're still not really an actual tag team for me, and the Usos are like one of the all-time greats.
I agree with what you're saying. I would take the Usos as well. It's just kind of one of those, they're in a more prominent storyline, and they shouldn't be losing at this point.
I can't really think of anything RK-Bro's done.
Like, who does a loss hurt more? Definitely Usos, right? So I don't think it matters if RK-Bro, because they're kind of a reluctant tag team or whatever, so I'll take Usos too.
United States Champion versus Intercontinental Champion, Damian Priest versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I really want to pick Nakamura here,
no way.
But they'll never give him a moment, so I'm going to have to pick Priest. Honestly, I am fine with Priest winning, though, because he's still relatively new to the roster, less than a year, because I think he debuted at the Rumble.
Yep.
And he's pretty good, too, so I'm happy either way, pretty much.
They are determined to underuse Nakamura, and they are sort of seeming like they like
Priest.
Priest.
Seem to kind of like Priest.
So I'll take Priest. I think that's a pretty easy one.
Team Raw versus Team SmackDown Women's Survivor Series match. Team Raw is Bianca Belair, Zelina Vega, Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, and Carmella. Yes, a stacked roster. And Team SmackDown is Sasha Banks, Shotzi Blackheart, Toni Storm. Ugh, that is gross. Natalya and Shayna Baszler. So I'll go first again. I picked Team SmackDown. I don't want to pick Shotzi or Tony, but Shayna is on the team, and I think Banks is also good too. I think the Raw team is just as bad aside from Ripley and Belair, because the way I see it, right, both teams have two people I like at least: Belair and Ripley on Raw, and then Banks and Baszler on SmackDown, and then you got three crappy ones on each team, right?
Yep.
So I think they're pretty even, but I like Shayna better, so I'm gonna pick SmackDown for that reason.
And for the sake of making this interesting, and because I don't really care that much, I'll take Raw. Just because I don't have any clue, but it's kind of boring if we pick the same thing all the time.
So then we have the men's Survivor Series match: Team Raw, Team SmackDown. Team Raw is Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory, and Kevin Owens. Let's hope no more last-minute changes. Versus Team SmackDown, which is Drew McIntyre, Xavier Woods, Baron Corbin, Jeff Hardy, and the new entrant, hell yeah, Sheamus. Another reason I picked the women's team SmackDown is because I'm going with Team Raw here. I think the men's team actually has a pretty good lineup. It's way better than the SmackDown one, because there's no one on that team I don't like. I've always liked Rollins. He's pretty good. Balor's good. Lashley's good. I mean, he's kind of fallen from the top of the card, but he's still good. Theory, he's good, and he's new. And Owens, we both like Owens. And whereas SmackDown, you have duds like Sheamus, Jeff Hardy, and Baron Corbin, and I still don't buy Woods as a single star. Like, I feel everyone is saying how he should get his moment, like Kingston and Big E, but I feel like they both had it coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas Woods feels kind of forced. And feels off.
Love that you're taking Raw, because I wanted to take SmackDown on this one, and you silly boy thinking that WWE main roster is going to think at all like you do. All of the reasons you gave is the exact reason why you should pick the opposite, because they're not going to do anything that you would think of, because you're probably thinking logically. So you just made my exact case for me, because all of that makes sense, so that's why they're not doing it.
And I just picked this team because I like them better.
I'll take SmackDown. Because you're wrong, and WWE would never do that.
It has nothing to do with logic. I just like that team better. I think the other team sucks.
I'll take SmackDown. I wanted them anyways. Yeah. I actually looked up a couple things today, so I'll take SmackDown.
Because I honestly don't care about this match. So I'm literally just going on what team I like better, and then I'm just like, yes,
and
that.
We got to disagree on a couple to keep it fun.
Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair, women's champions match
with
thing.
Some real life heat.
Don't like allegedly. Charlotte. She does not need to win, so I picked Becky.
Well, you know my rule is always pick Charlotte, but I feel like if all of these stories are true, and I always think there's a possibility it's just a work, but I am actually going to take Becky Lynch in this one. That goes against everything. I always
goes against all your philosophies.
Yeah, I always pick Flair because Flair, and I feel like if you just pick her every time, you're going to be right 9 times out of 10. So, but I'm going to go against it. I think that Lynch is the choice here. They can't be happy with Charlotte lately. So I'll take Becky Lynch.
And Becky's better. I like Becky better. And then we arrive to the final match, as provided they don't make any super duper last minute additions to the card. Big E versus Roman Reigns, W Champion versus Universal Champion. I went with Roman Reigns because number one, it's Roman Reigns.
That is my main
And
reason.
second, I don't think Roman should lose until he actually has to lose the title. And since he can't actually lose the title here, I don't think he should lose. And Big E won't be too hurt by the loss too much. And I think he'll get a good showing, which is important. And Roman Reigns is a beast.
So they have to book Big E strong here, but
because he has to lose.
I'm as confident in this one as the Priest one. Those are my two like borderline locks, right? Reigns isn't losing here, and they better keep Big E looking strong. Whatever that means, I don't know what that's going to take, but yes, Roman Reigns is winning that match for sure.
And do any of these matches have any stakes, you ask? Hell nah.
Of course. Well, they were just made like 5 minutes ago, weren't they? Some of them, and they constantly changing and whatnot.
I think the Battle Royal was either announced today or yesterday. So
interesting. Are you going to watch the Battle Royal? Because sometimes you don't watch pre-show at all. But you like a Battle Royal, so where do you go with that? Tough call,
maybe.
right?
I might, probably.
Okay. So that's it for...
We just had nachos. Are we going to do nachos again?
We might. We could. We still have leftover nacho fixins, so that would make sense.
Oh, that makes it easier then.
Is that everything for any other wrestling business?
Not unless you have anything else.
I do not have anything else. Because we haven't caught Rampage yet. I maybe watch that later today. So let's move into our final segment every week, which is an update from the world of wrestling action figures that we like to call Figuring It Out with Jack.
And so, not a lot, but they had like last minute reels. Like when we were taking one of our breaks, I was like, oh, they did so. Because originally I had nothing. So
you just told people we take breaks? Man, they probably thought we just sat down and did this in one take. Well, actually, it's a compliment because my post-editing skills are so amazing. They're not. It's totally
so seamless,
right?
Yeah.
You'd never know.
Right, yeah, totally.
Yep.
So we got some new images for Elite 91, mostly mock images. Each one has like an image out of packaging, but it's nothing interesting. The series includes Bianca Belair from Royal Rumble this year.
Yep.
When she won the title.
Great match.
Yeah. What? Royal Rumble?
Royal Rumble.
Oh, sorry.
I was thinking
when
Mania.
I said she won the title, no, I meant she comes with the title too. So it's from when she won the Rumble, but it comes with the title. Sorry,
gotcha.
I confused myself there too. But so that one looks pretty nice. It's like it's got like kind of the comic looking, like the onomatopoeia on it and whatnot.
Oh, the onomatopoeia! Look at you using the.
I know words.
Big words.
Big boy words. And then there's also Austin Theory. And it's like NXT look with the Way logos in yellow and then the navy blue trunks. I think that's a really nice look.
Yep.
As long as we can get a matching Gargano in that gear, I think that'd be really nice because I think the Gargano looks nice too.
Yep.
Kevin Owens from Royal Rumble 2021 as well. Comes with ladder and handcuffs.
Yeah, we'll see how well they work.
Yeah.
Just don't let Paul Heyman near them.
Yep. I think it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty similar to his last one, just I think the beard's a little too dark, but I think it looks nice. Next we have your favorite, your best friend, Hulk Hogan.
Ugh, no one buy it.
I think it's from SummerSlam 2005.
Nobody buy it. Leave it on the shelf and walk away.
And then there's Sami Zayn in his current look. I think the actual like khaki pants he debuted at Elimination Chamber 2020. And then the hair and beard is like more updated, like the longer look. It comes with the slammy and then like the hat and the jacket. It's pretty nice. It looks good. And then we also have Robert Van Dam, who comes with like a gray chair, and this is the tiger singlet one.
Nice.
It looks pretty nice.
That's
and
cool.
The Chase variant is a red and white singlet version, which I don't have a picture of, but whatever. Then we have basic Series 126 images. And so this series includes Drew McIntyre, which I think is just like a basic version of his latest Elite.
Yeah.
Just with a reused head scan, so literally as lazy as it gets, which I think is Royal Rumble 2021 against Goldberg.
His legs look crazy. They almost look too muscly.
Yeah, and like this just like it's the reused head scan from all the way back in Elite 83, and then just the tire from the latest Elite in basic. I don't like the basics. I try not to pay attention to them. Although a half decent one right here, Bobby Fish from TakeOver War Games 2019, the green gear to match cool. O'Reilly and Strong. If it was an Elite, I would totally buy it.
But it's not, so you won't.
Nope. I try not to care too much about the basics unless it's someone new who does not have an Elite, like Isaiah Scott, who is released because they're idiots. This one's got like a painted on shirt, which is pretty nice. I wish we had gotten that shirt in cloth. It's the Undisputed Gold one. Remember, I have that one.
Yes.
Where it has like all the titles. I think that one's a really nice one, and kind of timely. Seth Rollins from Survivor Series last year, so that's kind of nice.
Nice.
He's got the blue guy. I wonder if he'll do a red one.
And the glove.
Yes, the glove. If it's an elite, though, I don't really care if it has the glove because you can just take it off then.
Right.
And then we also have a really random one, a blue gear Macho Man. I honestly have no idea when that could be from, but it looks very nice. It looks like a classic Macho Man, so that's cool. It doesn't even have like a headband and sunglasses, so that's pretty offensive.
That is.
And then finally, you want to know who the final figure is? It's a really good one.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's the basic, and it's also Mandy Rose.
Amazing.
And it's short blonde hair. I think it's her from SummerSlam, I want to say. No,
very out of date now.
Yeah, it's incredibly out of date, actually. That sucks. Oh, wait. And so the Chase variant is the pink one. I messed it up. And then the normal one is the blue one, which also has shoulder tape on it. Like, you know how Cesaro used to always have that?
Yep.
They both look ugly.
Nice.
Next to Basic 127, which I saw they had some digital renders a little while ago, so now these are just like the actual versions of those. They look almost the same. Black and gold Shayna Baszler, which looks pretty nice, but it is a basic, so I will still not get it.
Right.
Looks like Rey Mysterio in like a white. It's like it's mostly all green with a bit of white. Painted on singlet, which looks crappy as hell.
That looks bad.
I hate the paint on singlet because like there's just like no texture to it. See what I mean? Like it just looks bad.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It just looks flat. Next to Santos Escobar from Halloween Havoc 2020 NXT Halloween Havoc, that is, with the Day of the Dead face paint and the Rey Mysterio tribute gear, which I think is the exact tights that Rey Mysterio used. So you think he just reused them, which I think is actually kind of cool.
Yep.
Then we have Keith Lee in another OD gear, the black and red trunks with the singlet.
Yep.
It's not even.
He fired too.
It's not even Bearcat Lee. Like, come on.
Nope.
Then we have Joaquin Wild, who comes with like a removal lucha mask, and then he's got the Day of the Dead face paint.
Nice.
And then the normal one is just the same black suit without the face paint. And then there's some render images for Shotzi Blackheart Elite. Yay! Top picks Rock, which is it's an Attitude Era Rock, so that I don't really care. Pink and Black Rey Mysterio for top picks as well.
Nice.
And then Ultimate Edition Alexa Bliss, which is her current gimmick, which sucks. So
it does.
I don't really need that either. And that is everything.
Wow. Well, that's bringing us to the end of a very lengthy, beefy episode 70. We're up around 3 hours, 20 minutes, which even for us long-winded folks is pretty lengthy. But we appreciate any time that you've spent with us. We may review Survivor Series. I don't know. We'll see how we feel about it. I wouldn't be surprised if we do, so keep your eyes out for that. I'll definitely be doing my Ring of Honor again, probably on Monday or Tuesday, so that should be coming out. And then we will 100% be back next Saturday for episode 71. So thanks again for any time you take out of your week to listen to us talk about wrestling. We will see you when we see you. And until then, take care.
Bye.